Wait, start the podcast because this is an interesting fact as well.
Let's go.
Okay. It is the 4th of July 2014, Independence Day, and we are not celebrating Independence Day, 1, because we're not American, and 2, because I didn't put that much forethought into it. This is the Robot Punch Gaming Podcast. I am Carl Lipscomb. Today I'm joined by the man who has a mental age younger than his own child, Dom Giles.
That's very true. Hello.
The woman that some reason lets me live with her, Liz Bond.
Hello.
And Josh.
Hello.
And the man that I don't see enough of, Josh Crunden.
Crumbum.
Crumbum.
Or Crumbum.
Yes. What were you going to say about your interesting fact?
No, all I was saying was interesting facts because we were just literally just discussing laugh tracks. Is that all the laugh tracks, even laugh tracks used in things now, like How I Met Your Mother and Big Bang Theory,
Right, yeah.
were recorded in like the 40s. All those people that are laughing are dead.
So you're telling me that it's out...
I knew that fact, but I never thought about that bit.
Yeah.
They're not all dead.
Well,
It's
but
outdated laughter, basically.
it's all they're recorded in like the 30s and 40s.
Surely
So
they
the
should
majority of them are probably dead.
Surely they should re-record it.
You'd think, but why bother? It's already there.
It was one guy who originally set out and recorded them all, and then he sold them all off.
If it's the majority of them were made in the 30s and 40s, then no doubt most of them are actually laughing at something really mundane in
Probably.
comparison to nowadays.
Exactly. But it just like
at-
somebody pointed out, it's like, oh, they're all recorded in the 30s voice. Oh, so we're listening to dead people laugh.
It's like, they're having a whale of a time.
Yes.
Actually, it's a bucket falling off of a ladder.
I mean, there's a chance that
It's
some of
so
them are still
funny.
alive, but, you know, when you can think about the fact that the 30s and 40s were almost 100 years ago,
Well, what,
and that war happened.
what if they had a documentary on it? Sort of like, and here we're joined by one of the women that was in the original laugh track. I remember laughing like it was yesterday, but I don't do it anymore.
Not since they stole my laugh.
I left that life behind.
Oh, God. Yeah, so that's an interesting fact.
Yes.
Thank
Well,
you.
I thought it was.
Thank you for that, Tom.
You needed
I
to
already
know
knew that
everything.
fact.
I am now going to think every time I hear canned laughter that those people are dead.
It's
They're
ruined
dead
it. It's
alive.
ruined it
Yeah.
for me.
Well, not necessarily, but like the
Probably.
majority of it is that it's from then. But yeah, it was one guy who decided to record it and then put it into. He just basically he worked with loads of live audiences and recorded every laugh for years. And then when he switched job, he went to like a non-live show and like was like, oh, I'm going to put these in. And then that's how it came about, and he just sold them off to all the companies because he pretty much worked for like every company.
There have to be some casualties from that. Like people years later committed to asylums because all they can hear in their head is
It's
laugh.
their own, yeah. Or in the same.
Well, they
like,
keep hearing their own laugh on TV, and they're like, "Why is this my laugh?"
Or in the same way that they use the same, like everybody used the same like soundtracks. It's the same reason that ask anybody what noise a frog makes. Ribbit. There's actually very few species of frogs that ribbit.
I remember that
But-
really clearly as a kid because there's a certain amount of sound clips they used in the original Command and Conquer, especially with men dying, and there's like this really whiny little scream that I then have heard since on cartoons
Yeah.
or even like A
Oh,
action films
and like an
of the guy going like. "Ah!"
Oh,
It's
yeah,
in Star
that
Wars.
one,
It's
yeah.
it's the something scream. I can't think. They did it on QI.
It sort of wails
Yeah,
off.
that's where
They mentioned it on QI.
I think it's the
actually.
same guy that recorded that as well.
Yeah. So they say all these recordings from years ago, but
Like
yeah.
an eagle's actually a hawk.
Yeah.
The eagle noise. Eagles don't make anything similar to that noise. It's actually just a hawk noise.
So you lied to me earlier when you were like, when I was playing Zoo
Oh, yeah,
Tycoon,
but I did-
and you were
I
like, why
wasn't-
is there so many eagles everywhere?
I wasn't being
Actually, they're
scientific
hawks.
about it. Like, that's just the noise that people
Clearly, Carl, that is
associate.
not an eagle, that's a hawk.
You
should
don't know
know
your
this.
stuff.
Most of those screams are probably just people stubbing their toes on things rather than actually being obviously they're not actually people being shot, but not being told, okay, pretend you're being shot. It's probably just
Yeah.
something, again, really mundane. Like, I don't know, someone forgot to turn the gas off.
Gas!
What are these prices?
Who just screams when they like realise they left the gas on?
I do.
Surprised at what a lot of people scream at that lots of other people don't scream.
My mum screamed because she left an egg on boil. She screamed down the phone at me.
I thought she was just going to say she left an egg.
Do you not
Just
remember?
some-
Do you not remember that story?
I remember that story very fondly.
That's it.
As the boiling egg story. You got
Hello.
some data for us.
Hello.
It's the Wilhelm scream.
Have you got a clip for it? Well, that's one of them. I remember another one
Yeah,
as well. Yeah.
but that's the main one. That's been in more things than anything ever. More TV series, more movies, more anything.
See, I definitely don't think that's the sound of someone being shot. That's more like the sound of someone's kids flushing their car keys down the toilet. That's more sort of like huge annoyance, but at least I'll live. Sort of scream. Careful of my beer.
Right, so we should probably get the podcast started with.
We did start the podcast.
This is the last week of your life.
Dun dun dun.
Oh.
Tora.
Does that mean I'm ending my life in Eastbourne?
Yes.
Oh.
So, Dom, start us off. What was the last week of your life? What happened?
I've been working in Eastbourne today. That was exciting.
Where do you work?
In a store.
What is the store's name?
Well, I can tell you what it's not. But yeah, other than that, I've been doing stuff. Been rearranging my flat, putting up shelves and whatnot. I've been watching, as it's been recommended to me, and I've run out of stuff to watch. Having finished, I watched House of Cards. Kevin Spacey is so goddamn cool. I mean, he was cool anyway, but watch House of Cards. Kevin Spacey is so goddamn cool.
I've not ever seen really any of his stuff or been old enough to notice who it was.
He was Hopper in
I was
Bugs
going to
Life.
agree.
Yeah.
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 Hopper was... no, see?
Bugs Life, the
Hopper's
grasshopper.
the evil
Bugs Life, the
grasshopper. He's the
grasshopper.
I
leader.
haven't seen a Bug's Life in years. I just remember that
Have you seen...
the actor that plays Niles in Frasier Crane was the stick insect. David Pierce. There we go. They've got
I didn't know that.
Anyway.
Don't listen to them, Francis. They are poo-poo heads.
But he's dead now. No, watch House of Cards. I highly recommend it. It's fucking
All of
cool.
them are dead. They're bugs. They only live for like a few days.
I'm in the accent. Anyway,
So that whole film,
the person that was the voice of the
that
caterpillar.
whole film was over a course of like a few days.
Bugs Life.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
a few hours.
No, because there's at least 2 night times.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then they all just died.
Oh, yeah, because they're bugs.
Well, that's really depressing.
Childhood ruined. Thanks, Carl.
Alice was way better.
I don't
So
really...
they did all of that. So they
Oh, I
went
don't
through
know.
all of that,
Well, they
like
had
trying
children.
to like stop Hopper, and then they all just died.
Well, I don't know how long ants really live for, but, like... Probably
Until you
not that
stand
long.
on them.
This has just ruined everything
They live
for
for
me.
days.
But they had-
the amount of weight they can lift being legendary.
They
Do you
lift,
think
bro.
an animal like that with that
Look this
legendary
up.
status is going to die in a few days?
I'm going to look this
Well,
up.
I'm just saying, like...
die in about a day.
Yeah, a fly dies in a day, so wasn't there a fly... Oh, no, there wasn't a fly as a main character.
No, there was a fly as a support character, and I think they mentioned that he only lives for one night.
Yeah, he says, like, oh, I want to spend my one night...
An
he's
ant's
drinking in the bar.
lifespan,
That's right, yeah.
an ant's lifespan is 12 years. You big poo head.
Okay, well, how long are the other bugs then? Because they didn't. A butterfly only lasts for like a day or two.
No, it doesn't.
At some
Does.
point in
a
time,
crane
an
fly.
ant could have been older than any of us,
Yeah. Very true.
and probably lifted more than us as well.
Well, here's a tangent for the podcast, Carl. It's not usually the direction it goes in.
Your week so far. Let's talk about bugs.
Let's talk about Bugs' lifespan.
A butterfly's lifespan is 2 weeks.
Yeah, see, so...
That's not a day.
Well, I over-exaggerated, but
Still dead.
so the caterpillar that turned into a butterfly, 2 weeks later, he's dead.
Yeah, that's a bit depressing.
Wasn't there already a butterfly in it anyway?
That poor guy.
No.
No, it's a moth.
Ugh. She'd be dead
Sexy.
as well.
Because you'd have killed her.
Yeah, yeah.
The other thing I did this week.
Anyway.
Did you know that
Talking about the
moths
job you
only
do.
fly towards the lights because they think it's the moon, and that's how
fucking stupid.
moths navigate around at night. Is they always have the moon on their left, I think, and that's where they end up flying into lights because they're constantly going around it left.
Idiots.
Why do they fly at my face when all the lights are off then and there's one in my room?
Because they're
Your
just
face
retired.
is
Why
like
have a
the
glow
moon.
face?
What, in your ear?
I'm the moon.
Okay, so Dom, sorry, carry on.
Anyway, so I've been working in Eastbourne in my select store because they were understaffed, and I got sent over there, which was fun. And it turns out I'm not as bad as my job as I thought it was, because when I'm teaching other people, I can actually do it really, really well and be very helpful, apparently.
What are you teaching them to do?
Processes and things correctly that are involved in the job. But aside
You're
from
allowed to
that,
speak about your job.
sorry.
You're not allowed to speak about your
You
job.
can't
Dunno.
name it, but that would be oh too easy.
But like, no job.
Right, you're cut from the podcast. Just cut him out completely. Leave empties out. Empties like just nothing.
No job you really should mention
Yeah.
because Like a lot of it in the paperwork you sign when you start, it says you cannot speak about this on the internet or anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the most I can mention is David, because he always asks me to mention him in every podcast because he listens to it and he's awesome. So hi, David.
Just replace what I said with something else.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Well,
you didn't say it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's fine.
No.
I
Just
mean, like
bleep
it's
it
no
out with
worse.
the
It's no
cat's
worse
face.
than what I wrote on his sleeve.
I mean, the uniform sort of gives it away,
Yeah,
but
it's just we can't mention it. We can't straight up mention the name.
But yeah, aside from, because I finished House of Cards, I was looking for something else to watch. I'm now right at the end of season 2 of Sons of Anarchy. And if anybody wants to start a motorcycle gang with me, that'd be awesome, because it's really cool.
But you can't ride a motorcycle.
I know, but it's now on my list of things to do.
Oh.
I could drive a car.
But push bikes are a close second. So.
Exactly, right?
Hey, you.
You just put a card.
I've always thought about just getting, just cause. Like, I've got this list of things I want to do.
I've always wanted
of,
to
like,
get a
things-
motorbike and get past my CBT.
Things just to learn. Because it's also, I meant to apply for it before. There was a place
Cognitive
up on the ridge
behaviour therapy.
where you can do a training course in driving, like, forklifts and stuff.
He's really
Just so you
loving
get
himself, isn't he? He just wants
Isn't
to be
he?
in the front of the camera.
Arsehole. But stuff like that, where you like go do a training course so that you're qualified to drive a forklift and shit like that. Just cause. Get a fucking like lifeguards certificate. Just cause. Just really random shit.
What about a pilot's license?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Fuck
Look
it.
at him. He's so posing.
It's
for
probably
the
it's probably
camera.
expensive, but
Yeah, but that one's actually would be like really worth it. As
Really
well,
cool,
because then you
exactly.
can actually fly.
Stop posing.
but yeah. Aside from that, so I've been watching Sons of Anarchy, and that show's awesome. I've been reading more Attack on Titan manga. Because every podcast I listen to that's American, they all pronounce it manga.
Dong giant.
Manga or manga. What is with your brother?
Manga isn't actually the
But because we pronounce letters correctly, we call it manga.
yes, but
How's it
it's a
meant
Japanese word. Is the problem.
I know. But we still
Yeah,
pronounce
you're
it's
meant
how
to
it's spelled.
pronounce
We're
it in
pronouncing it how
Yeah,
it's
but you're
spelled.
meant to pronounce it in
Listening.
Japanese.
to be?
Sorry?
It's
How's it meant to be pronounced?
manga.
As he was saying, manga.
That's how Americans pronounce it on anything I watch.
Manga.
How do they pronounce
Manga,
anime?
manga.
Manga.
How do they
Mango.
pronounce anime? Is that the same?
Anime? I don't know. But
Anamui.
anime.
Anime.
Tentacles. No. That's hentai. But
Hentai.
No, what was I watching the other... Oh, it was...
hentai probably.
No, it
Knowing
was...
you.
No, it was Archer.
Archer's brilliant.
And they had tentacle porn or something.
Yay!
Archer is a
That's the best
genius.
kind of porn. I do love a good helpless animated elf or something being destroyed in all orifices by some weird alien that, for whatever reason, has the need to fuck elves.
See, I'm glad you admitted that because that's the real reason we've gathered you here today. You have a problem.
This is an
And
intervention.
this is an intervention.
It's a tentacle
So we
porn
can actually
intervention.
stop now because you've admitted it.
We're not really recording. This is just for me to admit that I have a problem, and then you can all talk to me about it.
Done. Again.
What?
Cable, please.
So yeah, so I've been watching Sons of Anarchy, reading.
Oh, right, I thought you just took it off again.
But yeah, so other than that, but what I was saying earlier on, also suppose I'll mention it now, that I was saying earlier on, and then you told me to shut up and save it for the podcast, is the small person. Because I got my Elgato a little while back and have been making videos, and I'm going to start doing videos, the two of us, because I think that'd be a good thing to do. Anime. There you go. I think that'd be a good, like, a niche, have, me and my child doing Let's Plays or games and things.
Yeah.
Manga.
But I bought him, because of that reason, I bought him a pair of headphones with a mic in them,
Okay.
so that he could...
Manga.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. Yeah, no, I bought him one of those, and I set it up
Manga.
to show him, and he got very excited that it has that we've got this Elgato thingy, and even more excited that it got a headset. And I basically look, because there's these guys on YouTube that do Minecraft videos that he swears by. The guy's really good. He makes TV series. It's clearly for kids.
All right.
He's made a whole series out of it. It's like him and a couple of friends, and they do these videos, and each episode, like something. They've even got a villain that they have to fend off every episode from stop destroying or stealing their world and stuff like that. He's really good. And
Is it
Child-
for fall breaking?
No, Child is absolutely infatuated with it. But
Oh, you said they have to stop him from stealing their world. I thought you meant literally like steal the safe file.
Yeah, no. He
I
just
think that would be
comes in
better.
and
comes into the house and actually like, I see, a firewall.
with his
actually,
laptop.
the villain is actually just a person who breaks into their house
You
every
actually
week.
have a problem with a recurring thing.
Yeah.
It's actually they're playing
They're playing a
Minecraft,
game
and then
while
someone
being
breaks in.
recorded and some guy just appears. Can you stop? This is the third time this week. We're just trying to play a game. Swiper, no swiping.
Copyright. No, because he's watched so many of these things and he seems to have a knack for it. I gave him here's your headset and now you can record Minecraft videos or whatever. Flipped his little fishy mind, as we established earlier. And I left him to it. And eventually he recorded an hour's worth of video, an hour's worth of Minecraft Let's Play in which he was doing stuff, and it wasn't just just him playing and didn't say anything. He was talking to it. So he started. I said, "Oh, you're recording now. Go." So he's like, "Hello and welcome to my world. And today we're going to make this. So I'm just going to show you how to do it. And we're going to do this."
Oh,
And,
that's so
and he was
cute.
properly going through it. And he was chatting to, much obviously like the person he watches does. He was talking to the audience and was giving explaining what he was doing and why he was doing it and how to do it and joking about it and being silly and occasionally get attacked by creepers and he'd just be silly and play around with it. So. I'm torn as to whether or not I put that up on the internet because I think his mother will kill me.
This on the internet.
I'm going. I think I probably will.
Do it anyway.
I know. No,
Do you realise how many views that could get?
I know. That's what I'm thinking. That's why if we
Our
do.
childhoods were wasted because we didn't technology like that wasn't so
Well, I have a mate.
accessible for everyone because of its price or its rarity. Whereas I remember as a kid constantly playing with my toys on my own, but probably narrating it as well.
Yeah.
And talking out loud as if someone else was there.
Yeah.
I
I had
just
fun at the
you always do.
institution as a kid.
in those padded
It's
rooms.
right. It's right. The game that I used to play as a kid that I've been told is I used to line up all my toy cars in a perfectly straight line across the living room.
That's what my
That
brother
was my
did.
fun game.
That's what my brother did, and
Anyone
he
have
had
a
it
trick?
You're
colour
weird.
Is that part of the
coordinated.
game?
So,
Anyone ever tripped?
well, I don't know because they
like Home
probably
Alone.
lost their legs if they came near it.
Micro machines.
Oh, you were protective of your car line. Because the car was in your name and therefore cars in a line. It's sort of...
Carl's car.
And L is the start of line.
Line.
Exactly, there you go. It's Carl's sign.
But
That doesn't work.
I mean, I
In
have-
a child's mind it would.
yeah, I have a video that I've never posted again. Haven't that back when I was doing those videos on my YouTube channel, as terrible as they were. He watched them, and there was a guy that we watched. There was a wrestler that did YouTube videos at the time that he watched and he found funny. That was one of the inspirations for me to do it. And a couple other things that we watch or do. So I've put together a whole video. It's a good 10, almost 15 minutes worth of vlog essentially, spanning from my last phone, this phone, and a cheap video camera I bought off of Groupon, where he just got hold of them or pinched them and buggered off with them, and been vlogging essentially. So he's he's watched me do it. He's watched these other people do it on YouTube. So he's talking to it and recorded himself again, chatting to it like
should upload
it's his
that.
thing.
You should.
It's a whole video. I'm like, maybe I will. And it's quite funny because, as I say, it's spanned over almost 2 or 3 years. So he gradually gets older as the videos progress. but yeah, I might.
He was doing it in his 20s and like, do you remember my first videos when I was this high?
Well, I think
And I loved custard. And I only ever talked about custard.
grapes and
I miss custard.
insulting me. Have you watched our Loot Crate unboxing yet?
Can you say that slower?
No. Have you watched Loot Crate yet?
Because all it sounded like you said was something about a grape.
Okay.
And I don't like grapes. Not one bit.
You sounded like a very angry Japanese dad then.
You died on Joy. No.
Paco!
Choppy pee pee. Because we get the loot crates. I get loot crates in the post.
What crates?
Loot crates.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen them as a thing.
See, this is the thing. Last week when we talked, 2 weeks ago when we talked about this,
Nobody-
everyone thought you said Luke Craig.
Yeah, loot
That's what it
crates.
sounds like.
Loot.
Yeah, we got these loot crates, and I love them. He's like, what are loot crates?
L-O-O-T.
Okay.
L-O-O-T. Crate.
Loot crates. Okay. What are
Loot crate.
loot crates?
It's you subscribe to it.
Yeah.
And it's like £15-18 a month. And then this cardboard box in the post. Initially, it was like an American thing, but they've now started doing it internationally. And I don't know if he's...
Is it the middle class white equivalent of sending a shoebox to Africa?
Yes.
but rich people do it to
but with nerdy stuff in it. Like,
okay,
the last 3 I've got have had T-shirts in, and they're pretty fucking sick T-shirts. There's some sweet T-shirts in there. And you get things. You get like stickers. The first one I bought was Titan themed because each one has a different theme. The one we opened, the theme was Transform. So it's got a Transformers T-shirt where it's a DeLorean, and obviously it's got a DeLorean, and then what the DeLorean has transformed into as Transformer.
Okay.
It came with a little action. What are they called?
Got some help here.
Oh, good. Loot. Like the guitar. And yeah, little like toys and bits and pieces. But the Attack on the Titan themed one, for example, it's got a Titanfall lanyard.
Yeah.
It had the first book of the Attack on Titan manga. Had the first one of those, so you get some pretty sweet stuff in it, and people film themselves unboxing it because apparently unboxing is a big deal on YouTube. But
I've seen unboxing.
People
things.
unbox all kinds of shit,
and people tend to like to watch it.
Yeah,
it's like Christmas watching someone else open something. You get a little
bit.
A bit odd. You get sort of secondary joy out of it
because
you know that you can't have it.
Yeah, because the people that make the Loot Crate people know that people like that kind of thing. They have a thing where if you film your unboxing and upload it and send it to them, each month one person wins the month's mega crate, and it's like a massive crate full of stuff worth almost like the last one was worth over $1,000 worth of stuff, and it's like they do that every month. So me and the small person recorded an unboxing, and he was pretty funny. I have to give it to him; it was quite good.
I have seen a lot of unboxing videos, and the only thing it's really done to me is maybe very self-conscious about how I unbox things. Because I'm a messy unboxer.
I don't look as funny
if I buy something that I'm excited about, whether it's, I don't know, like a new game in limited edition or whatever, or if it's a new airsoft gun, I will tear into the box.
Destroy it. Yeah.
And it makes me quite self-conscious. Because everyone else is like, okay, so we've had a look at the outside. The amount of time they've spent looking at the outside of the box, all the time I'm sitting there, hot sweat, trying to fidget with something, just open the fucking box.
Exactly, yeah, just rip it up, yeah, tear the thing. So anyway, yeah, the moral of the story is my child's awesome and I should upload videos of him doing stuff. I'm sorry, Liz, but your relationship's over because you won't stop fucking with the microphone.
It's louder than everyone's.
What? Challenge accepted. And that's how that relationship ended.
Loot.
Oh, fuck off.
Crate.
You bellend. Loot crate. It's a crate with a guitar in it.
So that's everything from you then, yeah?
But wait, there's more.
I also played some Diablo 3, which you were supposed to play with me and you haven't, you bellend.
Well, one, you didn't ask me.
Shouldn't have to. You should just know, Carl. If I mean anything to you!
So, Liz, what happened in the last week of your life? Stuff.
Turn your fucking microphone on, bitch.
Stuff.
Was there not anything you wanted to talk about?
No.
I believe there was.
What about that time Carl put it in your bum?
No.
Oh, is that private?
Okay, Josh. This is not awkward.
Nothing much. My cat ate 5 slices of Domino's pizza.
Your cat's a fucking boss.
My cat is a fucking bitch.
Wait, was it your pizza?
Yeah. It was
Oh,
my
okay.
pizza.
But that's still pretty good for a cat.
It wasn't like I didn't buy the pizza for the cat.
I was going to say that's got to be a record.
Can I have a pizza? And my cat's also hungry. No, I had my friends over to stay last weekend.
You don't have friends.
Okay, my mind painted a picture in which I had friends over for the weekend, and we got quite drunk and decided to order pizza, and sort of 2 large pizzas and some sides. And halfway through eating the pizzas, we decided we were too drunk to carry on eating them, so we left 2 halves of each pizza and just left them in the kitchen, all closed down, and something weighed down on top of it to stop the cat getting at it, because she is just awful with food. She's a fat bitch. And yeah, come morning time, I wake up and think, I'm going to have some nice Domino's.
Pizza for breakfast?
Warm it up in the microwave. Nice. Can't wait to taste the meteor again. And 5 slices on the floor, no toppings left of the meteor.
That
and
right there.
She meowed at me every time she left her litter tray.
That right there.
Her shits were huge and painful.
See, now you're going to start.
She's going like, why did you do this to me?
It's your fault.
Pretty much blamed me for her midnight grazing.
There's a new YouTube trend right there. YouTube videos.
What, my fat cat?
No. Do you
Look at the size of my cat shit. Wait, check out next week. She'll have the runs.
Did you ever see? It was like last year, possibly even the year before, where it was a brief trend where everyone made musical drive-through videos. So they'd go up to a drive-through and then they'd sing their order. That was a thing for a couple of months on YouTube. It was a big deal, briefly. Next best trend: taking your pets through the drive-through. I'll have. Can we have a half and half pizza? Thanks. Yeah, I'll have pepperoni. And what do you want? Meow 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 meow. Oh, okay. Well, she'll have. It could be a thing.
I don't
Cat drive-through.
I want it to be a thing. I'd like to think my cat is better than most human beings that do such stupid things.
But still ate your pizza.
What do you ate my pizza and had horrible shits? I think
Fucking hell.
that's kind of been the highlight of my week. It wasn't even a highlight. It was kind of the tragedy of my week.
It was just the most exciting thing.
Oh. There's more.
Maybe it wasn't. But wait.
No,
there's more.
I gave myself a black eye in my sleep. From sleeping on,
What?
from sleeping on my arm and waking up and then sort of...
Oh, I see. When your shoulder's not quite awake yet.
Sort of bruising my own eye socket from just a dead arm, really.
No, I've done something very similar and very, very much painful.
Can I do that?
I did that once to someone else.
That's not how donkey punching works, Carl. It's the back of the head.
I wasn't proud of it, even if I was asleep. So I woke up, I'm sorry, honey, I'm not proud of this.
Well,
yeah,
look,
that's been my week.
Sarah does it to me. Used to do it to me.
Because if she does it to you and it's a regular thing, you might start to
She hasn't done
check
it.
that she's awake.
She hasn't done it in a while. I figured no, she hasn't done it in a while. But she, at least early days, she's not one that was used to sharing beds. But she used to punch and kick the shit out of me in our sleep.
She's just not practicing her...
I'd wake up. Well, this is pre-kickboxing. This is before she became a fucking ninja. And she was... I'd be covered in bruises and stuff all over just because she just beat the shit out of me in her sleep. I said allegedly, anyway.
She's a mighty girl.
Okay, was there anything else that you had?
No, that's my week.
Just the cat.
Pretty shit Monday.
Tell me why.
I did finish... I've just finished my amending...
Yeah.
My course.
Well, that's also important. Therefore, just a quick mention.
I guess it kind of is relevant if it's a gaming course, isn't it?
Probably a bit more important to you than your cat eating a pizza.
Yeah, well...
It wasn't cat eating the pizza, Carl.
I mean, it was a good story,
That was more funny. I didn't think so. Oh, by the way, I did the amendments on my course. Funny story. But yeah, that's been my week. You can cut that. You can cut that however you want.
What about your week, Carl?
Me and Liz played some co-op games.
That sounds like the kind of thing Liz would want to talk about.
Yeah, that's what I thought would be happening. We played Epic Mickey, which she had a really fun time on, and player 2 completely gets fucked over in that.
Because you don't get any achievements?
The second player plays as that.
Oh, like the
little
hand.
blue shorts with the...
Oswald.
Oh.
Is that what it's called?
Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, I think he is, yeah. And basically, Mickey has this magical paintbrush, which can paint objects in the world or destroy objects in the world. It has thinner or paint. And Oswald has a remote control that just basically zaps things and turns fuse boxes on.
Okay.
And everything that's to do with Oswald just seems like they put it there because they were like, shit, we don't have anything for Oswald to do.
Alright, so it's sort of we could make this a multiplayer game and make it co-op, but we've already given Mickey all the things that you need to play the game.
Yeah.
He's already got all the best bits.
Well, yeah, the thing is, you could just give both characters the paintbrush. Because
they have kind of won out because Oswald has got a far better name than Mickey. Because Mickey is an iconic character, and yet he's got a really sort of... Oh, it's just Mickey.
Yeah.
Oswald the luckiest... What was it?
Oswald Lucky Rabbit.
Oswald the Lucky Rabbit is quite a title.
He was before Mickey.
Really?
Yeah, he's older than Mickey. Yeah.
I don't remember. It was because I remember
he was some.
Is that Tugboat Willie, isn't it?
Yeah,
What?
That's Mickey.
Steamboat
Willie. Oswald was some of Walt Disney's first
thing.
Cartoons that
Character
he did.
type thing. Yeah.
But yeah, it's the thing is, even with the enemies, the way you beat the enemies is there's actually a a morality meter in the game. So, like, you can paint them, which you turns them to your side, or you can thin them, which just kills them.
Oh, right, so it's a good and evil choice.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but what you can tell out of the two things I said was paint or thin. Neither of those is zap with the remote control. So all Oswald can do is stun them and wait for Mickey to come and actually do the work.
So Oswald's the fluffer.
Yeah, he's the fluffer.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's really boring and
Sounds like a balance cop.
no.
Sounds like, do you fancy helping?
Yeah.
Do you want to play a game? Yeah, sure. Do you fancy helping?
It's the type of game which a parent plays with their kid who they don't believe can actually play video games yet.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, you play. He's a really lucky rabbit.
yeah, it's
From me.
it's a stage above from when I used to just give my nephew a unplugged controller.
Oh yeah.
Who
Yeah.
busted him open once.
What?
On one
He
occasion,
did
his
punch him
tiny
in the mouth.
itty bitty nephew, who was like a quarter of his size, bloodied him up.
He was one of the.
He's sick and tired of playing with the...
He was
Fuck this game, man.
Do you know what I've known all along? And I've just humoured you?
humaned me.
Humoured.
It's gone too far.
I do remember the day that he realised what I was doing,
Oh.
and it was like everything was just like gone for me.
Hi, Liz.
Player Liz has entered the game.
Yeah. Yeah. So like we've literally just got to the level where where it's some like Western place. I'm talking about Epic Mickey,
Chime in.
and I actually think it's you.
That wasn't
that's
very
been-
chimey.
I actually think it's you that's been making all the noise, the rubbing noise.
Have you not noticed his hands down his trousers the entire time?
No, or at least some of it, because
But I've got the cable around my neck, like you told me.
yeah, well,
I haven't jumped yet, but
the things you keep moving it around and holding this bit and stuff. Like you keep shifting it along your hand. That was weird as well. Yeah, and there's literally in this whole area, there's only one thing that I can do, and it's power one fuse box, and it didn't do anything. So, did you just turn off your mic?
good input. What?
No. Oh, did you? I just heard a mic turn off.
Epic Mickey then.
Yeah.
Is Car Player 2.
Yeah.
Do you make him be player 2?
Well, I kind of like we went with that before we realised that. Like,
No, I was like, I'm being Mickey.
Well, yeah, I'm saying no, but
Decided.
I'm saying we went with like
By the way,
the
this-
choice of the characters before we realised that Mickey has all the good stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Oswald gets the fucking shit end of the stick.
Yeah.
He is the luckiest rabbit you've ever
But
seen.
he does walk the best.
He does walk the best, and he has the best expressions. He walks with his legs doing this, like throwing his legs out to the side for people
And when
that
he does
can't
it really
see.
slowly,
Yeah,
he's like,
he's like
waddle like a
dramatic,
penguin.
yeah. And he's always got this massive smile, and you have a camera in the game, so like,
so you just take pictures of his face really close.
yeah, I was just running at Liz, and she just had the camera out, and he's just going. He's really
And
like
he's holding,
the special
like, some,
friend.
like, remote thing, and he's just like,
Terrifying.
remote.
So at the start of Mickey's day,
that was
okay, I'm going out to do something. He's like, take your friend Oswald.
this was.
I don't want to take Oswald.
No, it's like two special needs
Yeah.
children have been let out for a day out, and one has a paintbrush and one has a remote.
The garage.
It is.
Let's do something magical.
It's just a remote with one button on it. Yeah, that's what Liz said that the other night. I cracked up. So that's what it is. Like Mickey's the less special one, and
He's the one. He's the more of the leader.
yeah.
Come on, let's go do this. And the other one's just like, okay.
I got a remote, guys.
Turn on.
And so I spend most of my time just running around Liz in a circle, or when she's talking. Oh, also, I can't do any missions. She has to be the one that accepts all the missions. I can't do anything.
Do you not get any achievements either?
Nope. Oh no,
those.
actually no, you
You
do.
get
Sorry, I was thinking about a different
achievements.
game.
Do you have
The
characters?
Blob.
Yeah.
Do you have characters
the
in the
Blob.
game that are like, that are quest givers? Are like, help! I need your help. And if Oswald goes through, it's like, I'll help. It's like, you're not you.
Yeah, no,
pretty
they
much.
they just
Second
like
thoughts.
they just go, oh hi Oswald, how like they just chat to him, and then Mickey turns up. He's like, Mickey, I really need your help.
I'll help, not you, you fucking retard.
They really humour him. Like, there's a good boy. Adult talk.
Grown-ups are speaking now.
when Liz was like talking to one of the NPCs, I was just walking against him really slowly, just going.
Oh, they're talking. Is that? Oh, don't mind him. Okay.
You just ignore that thing.
And I just walk around zapping all the NPCs because they all get electrocuted when I do it. But it still doesn't do anything. It's no different.
No wonder they don't want your help.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Oswald. Please don't.
You can also
does
choose. You
again.
can also choose whether to be evil Mickey or good Mickey. You can be good Mickey by using the paint to make the what are they called? Enemies.
I might have already said this.
Have you said it?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm sorry. You can. No!
Bye, Liz.
I didn't want to say that I had, and then you do that. I'm sorry.
You could have just not said it. She's not like she's going to listen to the podcast. You could just, let her have her say.
Yeah.
Didn't have to, just completely ruin it and be the worst boyfriend ever. And I
Well,
hope
she
I'm
looked at Josh and realised that we were
I hope I'm helping.
I don't know whether to say something or not. You can talk about how fun it is to play as Mickey.
It's ruined.
You've read that's twice now. I'm not joking.
What was the first time for? Oh, because they asked you to stop
Yeah.
rattling the thing. That may or may not be me.
But think of Carl as Oswald the luckiest bunny.
Yeah.
For the rest of the podcast.
And then you won't feel so mean.
You'll find it in yourself.
I'll say about the other game we were playing, which is the Blob, where co-op's made even better.
That's a great
You were
game.
talking to me about
And the Blob 2.
The Blob 2 we were playing, and
I've got that
it seems really fun.
It seems. And then you start playing it.
No. We play it co-op, and she gets to play as the Blob, and I'm a cursor.
Yeah.
a cursor. What,
Yes.
like a mouse cursor.
Yeah.
As in like a circle dot, like a mouse cursor, but just circle dot, and I can shoot things,
You help.
which doesn't do anything 99% of the time.
So again, another game in which co-op just means player 2 is a kind of.
It's also
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
It's
you're the main hero.
yeah, but-
and
It's even
You?
it's even less so than
You're
Mickey.
Luigi.
Like at
Luigi was good.
At least in Epic Mickey, you can actually run around and kind of do some things. Like you can do the platforming elements and like kind of help out. But like,
you.
yeah, but
Have your photo taken by
in-
every player.
in the Blob, the two most useful things you can do, because every level is a time limit. You can either shoot some of the like enemies, which turns them into being like it's basically Sonic, where the enemies were actually like the good people from the world,
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
the rabbits and the birds and stuff.
Just in the enemy gear.
Yeah, and so you can you shoot them, and then it takes them out of it, and they're free. Or you can have paint. So whenever Blob goes into water, his paint color goes away, so you can go and shoot him again, which really helps out a lot of the time. Or you can change the color of the Blob, but that's pretty much it. And it's a game that was originally made for the Wii, so that stuff could have kind of worked well with the Wii remote, where you're like shooting around, doing this stuff. But on the Xbox, and you lose the cursor most of the time. You can't even see where it is.
Well, games
It's
where
like-
you rely on like a mouse-based selection tool, like clicking or moving around, like RTS games. A lot of
Yeah.
the time, some work on consoles. A lot of the time,
See, I don't think.
it's best left to a PC. Not
I
because I'm trying to do the whole PC Master Race thing, but it's,
Uh,
just,
no,
it's a
no,
lot
no,
easier
but
peripheral wise.
for example, like Age of Empires 2 and Warcraft 3 are two of my favorite RTSs of all time. Age of Empires 2 was my first RTS, and it's still probably my favorite ever.
Dune 2 was my
Warcraft
favourite.
Total Annihilation.
Oh, that's a good point. Oh, I didn't think of that one. Total Annihilation was also amazing. But
That's more of a military strategy simulator.
when it came to that's true, but it's still
still in the same boat,
RTS
yeah.
kind of elements. But for example, Halo Wars was an RTS on a console.
Yeah,
Did not enjoy any of it. The only reason I finished it is because Rory wanted to, so I played it with him.
I have that on
Couldn't-
on PC. In comparison, it's because using the stick to control the selection is very fiddly and
It's
awkward.
just not. Yeah,
It doesn't feel right. Whereas when you're trying to select all your troops, you do it with the mouse. You just click and drag. It feels much more fluid. It works, and it saves. A lot
In the
of time.
same way that I'm tempted to try. So far I've not liked them, but something like the Dragon Age games, for example, tried them on console, don't like them. Might give them a go if I can get hold of one on PC, just because it seems like the kind of game that should be on PC, not...
Well,
Because obviously-
I've always thought that way about Elder Scrolls games, that they should be on
Again,
PC
yeah.
rather than console. Because, I mean, fair enough, if you want to play them on console, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, but it just
You
feels...
have to simplify a lot of the controls. There's only so many buttons, whereas you need a lot more in a game that's
Yeah.
not complicated, but when you use the interface...
Like, WoW, for example, wouldn't work on a console in a million years.
Of course not. You use your quick bar.
Well, exactly. But things like that, like that's why I'm interested to see how... Well, I suppose even then it's not the same sort of way of doing it. But obviously we've got Defiance happened, and now Destiny, which are going to be like Momobagas, but on console. But then they're supposed that they're going to be in a different sort of view than you would get from something like WoW or other Momobagas. But
It's because obviously everything has to be, to a degree, it has to be simplified just because there aren't enough.
there's only so many buttons or button combinations.
Yeah.
Most of Destiny isn't like an MMO.
Okay. I know it's MMOE.
It is in a way of like
MMOE.
it's kind of it's almost like an instant based thing in the missions, but it's not. It's do you know much about what Journey was like, where it just kind of like had people appear in the game?
Do you mean Journey, the game on PS3?
Yeah.
What the sort of where you play as the red cape?
Yeah,
That was
thing.
a brilliant game music wise.
Yeah, I never
a
played
brilliant
it.
game
I've heard
in
some
general.
amazing stuff about it, but like
It's amazing in the sense that you have an open world, quite an open world.
Mm.
No real objective is given to you, but yet you still understand kind of what you're doing and enjoy it all as well.
Yeah.
I found me and Jamie played it, enjoyed it
Yeah.
all the same. And again, the musical score and the building of atmosphere was genius.
Yeah, well, when you were playing it, did you ever have any random co-op people come? Like, you just meet people in the world. It just like,
I think we played it offline.
oh right, it kind of just like crosses your games over. So there's no like loading. It's not like you go and choose to go into someone else's game.
It just happens.
It just happens. So you're just walking along, and then someone else will appear in your game randomly, and either you can just both leave each other alone, or you can be like, oh, we'll join up and go off together.
Okay.
And that's basically what Destiny's like, but it happens a lot more often. Cause like,
so you can wander in and out of people's games, but with no sort of loading screens or sort of interaction. It just happens. Like you're playing, and then all of a sudden, oh, someone's joined me.
Yeah, you can be going for a bit, and it will like assign someone who's like similar level, similar stuff to you, and then put them in the same area. It will just like cross your games over, and then you can if you stay together, then you'll constantly you'll stay together. But I think what if you like go apart, then it will kind of like break that link, and then like it will start something else up. So it's kind of nice in just seeing that there's other people around, or you could or you can see other people and then actually join to have a team and make it a lot easier.
A lot more immersive, I think.
Yeah,
because it means that
exactly.
It doesn't make you feel like you're the only one in control of anything, and it
and that
people can wander in and out.
Yeah, that's how it's meant to seem.
Could do with using that.
I think a lot of games are starting to do stuff like that now. There were some other games that mentioned it at E3 as well. I can't remember. I know No Man's Sky does it, but that's meant to be a lot rarer as well, because like they said you could have. I think they said you could have like 1 million people on one planet, and you could still not see anyone.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then considering that
sweet.
there's like infinite planets.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can go around without seeing anyone at all.
There's 1 million people on this world. You've met one of them.
Yeah.
And still nobody wants to talk to you. They all hate you.
Even on the internet, no one wants to be your friend.
Keeping their distance.
That would be the most sad thing if you're like wandering along for ages on your own, and then you just see like loads of people going off together, and they just ignore you.
You're like, can I join? It's like, we're not really looking for anyone at the moment, man.
We all just randomly met each other, but I think we got enough
okay.
people here.
I think we saw a group back there. I've just come from back there. There was no one.
Yeah, so was there anything else? There was something else I wanted to talk about. Oh, well, I was on the Sixth Axis podcast.
Never heard of it.
So you can check that out on Monday. Should be a day or a week or a month before this launches, depending on how well the internet holds out on releasing it. Yes, you can have a look, and I was the best. I think I was probably the best person they've ever had on that podcast.
It sounds kind of dull and not as good as ours.
It's not, apart from the times that I speak. I did say that I was
As a
just
whole.
going to take all my, because we recorded over Skype, I said I was going to take all my audio and just release it as a Robot Punch podcast. just me speaking on my own. with
Although
no one else
Kev does
interacting.
seem like a man after my own heart.
He wasn't on it.
Oh.
It was me, Lewis, and my brother.
Oh, maybe I mean Lewis. I don't know. Yeah.
What?
It's awesome.
Maybe I mean Lewis.
Yeah.
Or maybe I was the complete wrong person.
I know.
I was. Okay. So, well.
Chris guy sucks, though.
He does, yeah. And on this podcast, that Dom guy sucks.
Fuck you.
So, Josh, one thing with having you on, I wanted to talk with you about a few things.
It's not true. None of it's true.
We've seen the website, Josh.
None of it's true.
I've seen the police reports.
Just looks like me. Josh Crunden. He's not me. Common name.
Yeah.
Kosh is a well good name.
It's the best word for hitting someone.
Kosh.
I'm gonna kosh you.
Oh, mate, you cost him in the mouth.
I'm going to Kosh Crunden you.
It sounds like hitting someone with a frying pan full of something.
Yeah.
It does.
Being koshed.
That's the stuff falling out. Gosh, Dundon.
Kosh Crunden.
Dundon. Yeah.
How hard were your potatoes? That's a tile floor.
I hadn't started cooking yet.
Well, I imagine they were noodles for some reason. I don't know why you have noodles in a
Well,
saucepan.
those are pretty hard
Or
noodles.
frying pan even, so...
In order for
have them
it to bounce twice.
You don't.
Dun dun.
Well, you
It bounced well.
You didn't even put any water in it. So it's like-
Exactly.
well,
In
you
my
were
frying
cooking
pan.
it wrong. You were cooking it in a frying pan. You
weren't
just
even-
put like
you weren't even cooking.
dried noodles in with oil.
You
Like,
filled the saucepan just to kosh someone. Just put
I'm not
some-
Jamie Oliver, all right? I make it up as I go along.
That's what Jamie Oliver does.
I know.
It sells.
That's why everyone hates him.
right. So, as you mentioned earlier, you have just finished your study course.
That's right, yeah.
I don't believe you said what you were studying.
I'm studying to be a computer game designer.
And what does that entail?
Designing computer games, I'd imagine.
Well,
You have the floor. The next 45 minutes is yours.
when I first started, they took us out to a farm. They showed us how the cows work and the sheep work, and then they took us back and they took us to an office and they told us how to use a stapler.
That is important.
That is important. No, they did nothing. None of that. Basically,
It's all lies.
I do it.
It would have been amazing if they literally took you to go see some cows and they were like, this is for animation stuff. And then just grabbed the cows like, look how the knee moves. And just started moving. It's like,
I would have actually heard it if they'd taken us out to a place, showed us all this stuff, taken us back and went, that has nothing to do with the course. We just fancied a day out.
I really needed to get out of this place.
Do you know what? I'm dying in here. No, well, it's all done from home. And I do it with a company called Train to Game. And that's through TIGA, which is the Gaming Association. Oh?
Is it any good?
It is. I take it you've heard reviews on it that have been
I know
not
of
so
it.
good. Yeah.
In fact, so much so I've looked into it a couple of times. I even suggested to Carl at one point, I think. My brother found it and looked into it. The only issue, I mean, I'm sure they obviously are to an extent legitimate in all the training courses and stuff they do. However, what I found dodgy, having read reviews, and what turned out to be completely true,
Yeah.
was what put Rory off. Was we had the guy come round and he talked to him.
They asked to touch you.
They did. No, that would have been better. But they went
To
through all
get
the
in
went through all the
this.
stuff.
Did he not let him?
No, for whatever reason. But no, he went through. They went through all the stuff. Went through all the
There's a
whole
choice.
talk. And the guy went through all the paperwork and told him all the bits and pieces of information.
Yeah.
And one of the main things he pointed out was that it was to do with the payments, basically,
All right.
and about how it would be paid for and so on and so forth. And there was absolutely no big lump sum or any kind of hidden payments. And then in the very fine print of fine prints, they mentioned that they take the whole thing as one big lump sum right off the bat, which was basically a complete contradiction to everything about the payments that he'd told Rory. And so Rory actually read the terms and conditions, it says this right here, and he's like, oh. And that was basically, so you've basically outright lied about the whole payment thing and are in fact going to take a massive lump sum out from my money.
That's interesting.
despite telling
because
me-
I finished paying a while ago, but
Well,
they never took the whole lump sum.
This is what a lot of the bad reviews I was saying about it was that they say about one thing about all the money, but then in the paperwork they actually rape the shit out of your bank account And when
Did anyone say that actually happened to them, or they read it in the small?
no, this is people that said it actually happened to them.
I was
they're
just
like, they're like,
saying
they're like, I
all
paid
read
for
it
this thing, and they took a massive lump sum and then continued to take the payments, and they were like, yeah, I found this out afterwards, and now nobody will answer or return my phone calls while I'm trying to cancel these payments or block these payments, and they're ignoring me and still stealing my money. But unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it. Kind of reviews. These are people saying personal experiences, and then when I afterwards, Rory said he'd gone through the paperwork. I was reading this at the time. He was out meeting this guy. And I was like, yeah, I hope you didn't sign anything because I found this out. And Roy was like, yeah, no, I went through he told me all this stuff, one thing about the payments, and then I read the terms and conditions, and actually there was this whole other thing where they're going to take all my money and fuck me up the arse. And when they asked the guy about it, it was well, I should leave, and just fucked off.
Well, I never got that.
So
I got the interviewer come round and interview me with my sort of knowledge and whether I actually wanted to do it, gauge basically whether I'd be suitable to do it.
You obviously found a good one.
I also find that strange that they even interview you.
Well, it's more for the fact that if it is to do with payment, whether you're going to be reliable in actually paying them, because obviously
they want money out of you.
Yeah, they do want money out of you to do it.
They have to make money.
Yeah, of course. But no, I didn't.
They probably make more money though. As I say, because anytime I Google them, I only find negative things about them. Perhaps if they didn't do it in a dodgy fashion, obviously you've obviously found it legitimate.
I will admit that it does sometimes come off a little dodgy.
Yeah. If maybe they didn't do it in such a dodgy way, Rory was ready to sign until it turned out that everything the guy had said about the payments was a massive lie.
Well, I can add to testify.
Testify.
Yeah. Yeah, you are the first and only positive review.
I've got another friend that's doing it as well.
But I don't know that person. Yours is the first I've ever heard.
That person.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that I have another friend who's doing level design in it, and has never didn't have the same problem either. And not only that, if they're going to take a lump sum from me, when I started it, I was 19.
Didn't have a lump sum to take.
20. What are they going to take from me?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
All it's been for me is a monthly payment of about 135.
If it had been, I mean, it'd be better if Roy had been here to explain whatever it was that his issue was. But based on all these reviews, these negative things said, it seems like something very avoidable. Like, if it is legitimate enough that you and your friend have just done it and it's really, really good and you've really enjoyed it and got a legitimate, learning experience and qualifications out of it, why be fucking dodgy about it? Because you're going to make a lot more money not being dodgy about it, obviously, than if you're being fucking dodgy about it. And it doesn't seem...
I can't answer that
No, absolutely, because you've not had that experience. But since, 90% of anything I've read about it has been saying that they're dodgy and it's all bullshit and stuff.
I'm like, how... reviews before I signed up for it, and I saw mixed reviews of people saying that it was good and people saying, oh, they wanted to take my money, and thinking, okay, seems a bit... But you took the plunge. I took the plunge and went for it because it's been what I've always wanted to do since I was about 5 years old. And I went for it. I submitted all my work over from the last 4 years back in March. I got it sent back basically to say it's good, but room for improvement. Just amend a few things. Here's a list of constructive feedback, not destructive at all. Not sort of like this is shit, but constructive. Here's a huge list, or not a huge list, but you know what I mean? Here's a list.
It's all shit.
Yeah, here's a list. This needs to be checked out. This needs to be checked out. Don't be afraid to go through your textbooks again. It's under this section. Here's how you amend it, blah, 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 blah. And just fixed it up. So, got that sorted. Going to resubmit it on Sunday.
Brilliant.
Take about another month to get through, so they can mark it properly. I mean, the 8th project I did was a game design document, which basically, once you sort of describe or showing a person how everything in your game will work.
Okay.
To a degree.
Yeah.
And what will be in it. So it's kind of like a story bible of a game, which is basically like the compendium of the game. So if anything in that game has significance or no significance, but some that it's shown up, it has to be in the story bible.
Okay.
If a level is really dirty and, stony and deserty, not only does the level have to be in it, what's in it has to be in it. If it is a separate entity from the map, that thing has to be in it.
Oh,
so
bloody hell.
If you decided that on the map there were going to be separate stones and rocks,
it's all got to be listed.
It's all got to be listed. And obviously that's a living document, so as you go through, you're adding more.
You're editing it, and...
If it's a weapon, it's got to be in it. If it's a character, it's got to be in it. If it's the character's mother who shows up for one little cutscene...
In the background,
she has to be in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
If a dragonfly... Yeah, I'm not even going to keep going on. You get the point. But yeah, just gonna resubmit that. But it's been 4 years of both joy and pain.
Tears.
And I say pain not because I haven't enjoyed doing it when I've got into it. It's because I do it from home. You have to self-discipline yourself.
Which is a bitch.
Yeah. If I'd gone to university and done it amongst other people, because I'd have other people working around me doing the same thing, I would have found it a lot easier. When you're sat at home and you're about to start work, even if you want to do it,
you're like, I'll just make a sandwich.
Yeah.
I'll just watch this episode of Walking Dead. I'll just...
You procrastinate. If it's a normal day where you're having a day off of it, and a friend calls you up and says, I've got an ingrowing toenail. Do you want to come and look? And you're like, why the fuck would I want to come and look at that? If
But
you're working, I've got an ingrowing toenail, I'll be right round with my
I'll be there in a second.
So
yeah.
So it's been hard for me personally. I'm not great with academic learning as it is.
Same.
I'm more of a go out and do it sort of person.
Kinesthetic learner.
Yeah, rather than sit there and read about it.
Big word, 1 point. Yeah. I would have, as I say, I found it a couple of years back, and I think I suggested it to you at one point or another. Maybe a couple of years ago.
Yes.
But
Didn't you mention it? Didn't you speak to me about it at one point, actually?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I seem to remember you speaking.
I saw it on Facebook once.
Yeah, it's something I really would have liked to have done. I don't think I could be asked anymore, but it's something I would have, a couple of years back.
You can still do it now.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
Dom.
Fuck you.
So, what did you want to
Get a
ask
job.
about it?
Everything.
Everything.
Well,
From
kinda
start to
like-
finish, walk us through the entire course.
Yeah, I kind of just want one new experience on learning, and for other people to other people who want to do it to know what it's kind of like and stuff like that. And also the other part, I want to just kind of know what you want to do with it. Like, obviously you want to make games, but like
go back to that farm they used to.
Be like Paul.
But do you want to just it on what scale is it? Like you want to go and make a company, you want to be an indie game developer, or do you want to go work at a big company, and like what kind of game you would want to be making? Like, do you want to go to Criterion and make their next racing game, or do you want to go to Blizzard and make
WoW
Titan or whatever it is now?
He's going to join Team Hyperbeam.
Yeah, or join Paul, our very own Paul's indie game development team. Yeah, basically that. So if you start off with just your experience and the kind of thing you have to do, like the kind of thing, the knowledge you need beforehand, and the kind of knowledge, because you're like, you're straight up like coding and stuff.
Basically, so I think Carl's interested and would like you to explain.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to know if there's any specific questions in particular.
Yeah, it's just I just kind of
first of all, when it comes to things like coding, as a game designer, you don't see much of it. This is something that opened my eyes a lot more than what I thought game design was about, but it still made me very heavily interested in it, if not more so after learning that. Is a designer is more, or designers are people that are more the ideas people.
But you're not even, because how designer can sound, you're saying you're designing the game, but you're like in writing in your mind, but you're not drawing any. Well, you're not like drawing concept art. You could be drawing ideas.
You do that to a degree.
Yeah,
basically,
I'd say obviously you can draw stuff to the extent of like how a film writer might draw out a storyboard. So I'm not saying you're going to do a storyboard, but
that's it's kind of what it's like. You'll come up with the idea and the premise of the game either on your own if you're maybe a lead designer, or you're as a team with other people. And as you're designing it, people will either not shoot down, but you'll either sort of
shoot.
You know what I mean? Some people will say, well, maybe if we instead of doing that, we'll do that instead because it'll be easier. Blah blah blah.
Mm.
And then once you've come up with this idea and the concept of what you want to do and how it's going to go, is you then start to talk to the other the teams within your team. So you've got your artists, you've got your level designers, you've got your coders, animators, everything like that. So say if I came up with a game and I've got all the story down, right, the main character. So I go to the artist and I'll take a picture that's some concept art that I've already done, and say, okay, this is what he looks like, blah 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 blah. Here's a rough picture. If you want to improve,
this is what I've got in mind.
Yeah, improve on it or whatever. Or sometimes you don't have to have a picture, but it makes it easier. But you might come up and say, here's a written description of what they're like. Go off and do that and come up with something. I mean, you've got some freedom here. Or you might come up with something better than me. Just bring it back and show me what you've got. Then go to the animators and say, okay, when this character's done, he's athletic. He'll walk like this. Here's an enemy. This is how they'll walk, or this is what they do. This is how he stands idle. Everything like that. Go to a map designer. Okay, so it's based on this planet or this realm, whatever. It's going to look like this. Here's a rough diagram of how it looks. Blah blah blah. And then go off to each little department with your idea once it's all been approved and
Yeah.
I wouldn't say finalised because ideas change as you go along, but, you pass on the message if you want. But you're the person that does. There's a lot more paperwork in it than than lets on.
Then you'd like to think.
There's a lot more writing. But I didn't really go into it thinking I want to sit there and code or I want to sit there and animate because I've never been heavily into those things. I used to do very basic modelling and skinning, but only very, sort of nothing so advanced.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did. I mean, before I went into it, I thought I knew a lot about games, and to a degree I did. But when it came to the actual manufacturing side and the actual creating side, no idea. It's been quite an eye-opener, especially when they say things like, let's say, for example, the latest Call of Duty game. I think it was about, was it 24 million?
Bloody hell, yeah.
To create and produce, or was it? It might have been above. It might have been 44. But it's within the millions. I think World of Warcraft was 6 million at the time.
Yeah,
to create.
I'm surprised that I just found out that Respawn's team, who make Titanfall, they're 80 large. They're just 80 people in that team.
Yeah.
Which for a game like that, I thought that it'd be well over that number. And that even sounds like a big number to a lot of people.
But when you think about all the different teams, all the different bits that 80 is split up into.
Yeah.
So there's going to be, it's 80 people in one place is a lot of people. But if it's this many people working on storyboard, if there's this many people working on design, if this many people working on this many people working on that, breaks down quite quickly into.
Yeah. And they do get outside help sometimes, like contractors. Sometimes they'll ask outside, and also things like engines, which a lot of people forget about. Is companies sometimes make their own, or they.
I can't remember who Respawn used,
or asked to use and then maybe improve on. So, like, you take the cryo engine, for example. Some people like to take that, modify it a bit, or just take it and use it exactly as it was made.
Yeah.
Everyone uses the Source engine. So.
The Unreal Engine.
You've got all of them.
Yeah.
So, what do you want to go out and do then? So,
are you looking to be a designer?
Yeah, from what I understand, or what I think of you, I don't think you want to do indie.
No, I've never been. I've never wanted to do small scale.
Yeah,
and I don't mean to belittle that.
No,
it's not been my start. It's the same with app games or mobile games. I enjoy app games, but I've never wanted to create them because most of them revolve around making money.
Flappy Bird.
Well,
fucking thing.
Let's take, for example, freemium games. This is a whole other topic, but freemium pisses me off. I'm involved in some freemium games, but they still piss me off. It's basically, here's the base game. Everyone's equal, but you can buy something to make yourself look cooler. P.S. It's also higher damage.
Yeah, pay to win can just fuck off.
Pay to win, basically, yeah. So that annoys me, and that seems to be what a lot of mobile games are about. In fact, if not most.
There's a number of games.
It's not about engrossing you. It's not about story-driven. Yeah. What I've always wanted to do with computer games is exactly what a good book or film or television show does do. Is it grips you, it immerses you, and you get connected to it.
Yeah.
You feel something for something that you didn't think possible because it's not real. It's fake.
Yeah. I mean, there's a number of games that I've played over time. A lot of mobile games. I mean, a while back, I know the world is obsessed with that Simpsons tapped out thing.
Yeah.
A while back, Carl had me playing. Yeah, a while ago, Carl had me playing SimCity on Facebook. I've played games on my phones over the last couple of years that have ranged from different types of games, even things like just tower defense games and just other bits and pieces versions of games. But I've only played them to the point where I can just play them. And then when it's like for an example, a tower defense game where you've reached a point where you don't have enough resources to defend the tower, but for just £7, you can get all the resources you need to beat the next 10 levels. And then for just £10, you can get the resources to meet the next 10 levels. And then it's like, no, fuck off, all right?
Exactly. It's to make
just
money.
no.
I like mobile games, but they're just.
That's always where my games stop.
I'm not going to look at my mobile and be like, do you know what? That guy that just died in the fight, I knew him. I connected with that guy.
I spent £10 on that guy.
I felt like he had a whole backstory that I've missed. How could I have missed that?
Yeah.
I love him.
I have a number of games in my that's listed on my apps on my iTunes that are all games that I've only played to the point where they started expecting money out of me to allow me to continue. They don't say that, but it's basically you can't carry on without paying, and then I just delete it.
A year until your resources have saved up.
Yeah,
but you want to play it now.
But then that's when I just stopped playing because I'm like, well, I had fun for this week, but then you expected money out of me, and you can piss right off.
Exactly. So my game plan, well, hopefully, is what I wanted to do, was to join a moderately successful company. I mean, I might have to start smaller. I mean, if anything, mobile games seem to be the places hiring the most.
Yeah.
Like King, sorry, not Bing. King, who make Candy Crush games that I despise like that. Are
Saga, all these Saga games, they've all got Saga in the title.
Apparently everything's a really long story. They've wanted, they've got lots of spaces going, so I could easily take a job or try and take a job there, which I might have to at some point, but I'd like to move on to bigger companies. I mean, I've always wanted to work for Eidos to make the like next Hitman game, or it is Eidos, yeah. IO Interactive of sort of, yeah. Or I know it might get me hate from YouTube, but EA.
I don't see why that would.
It's just because
everyone hates EA.
Because EA's policies work in the way that they suck money out of you for games that aren't
EA are assholes, yeah.
But I've always loved the games that they do produce. They do release them too early when they need patching to ship, but when they do,
to the same note,
they are okay.
The same note, Activision, who will do, they'll find a small games company that are doing okay for themselves. They'll buy them up, make a game together, and then if a game they make together isn't good, and it's usually Activision's fault, they'll just shut down that company.
Yep.
They were surviving fine by themselves, but because they didn't make Activision enough money, they're like, well, fuck you.
Exactly. Or even...
Hang in there, Blizzard.
Being so lucky to, in my life, work for Valve.
That's the dream.
That is the dream. But then eventually, after working with a company for so many years, building up... networking with people, building up experience.
One second, you said Bethesda. If you were a game designer, that's the company you would want to work for?
What?
Are you saying if you're a game designer, that's the company you would want to work for?
No, I was just naming the game company.
Oh, okay, because I was really surprised because you hate RPGs.
No.
See, Bethesda's another one.
He said Valve, just another one that came to mind from Valve was Bethesda.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were just saying that's what you wanted. Okay.
No.
So carry on.
From there, I worked there for a few years, and then eventually start my own company. I'd like to do that. But obviously after a lot of legwork and working
I'd like to work for Epic. Yeah. Epic Games. It's all about the gears, man.
Years. See, that's another reason
they don't make it anymore.
Connecting with characters, because a lot of people don't, but I actually really connected with Anthony Carmine and didn't know that he died. So when he did die, I was very sad when I played that all those years ago.
That's like the second mission.
I know. But I was still sad because it was like...
You connected to that guy really fast.
Guy
but that was the best... Spoiler alert. Because, people that haven't played Gears 3, that was one of my favourite things about Gears 3. Clayton was a fucking badass. And you already had... because there was 4 Carmine brothers. One of them's already dead, and then one dies in the first one, and one dies in the second one. So that's 3 of 4 Carmine brothers fucked.
So you're assuming that...
But then the fourth one is massive. But not only that, because he's pretty hench anyway. But then halfway through the game, at one point he does get shot in the head.
They held it up to vote.
Yeah,
I
know. Yeah,
and
didn't announce which one it was until the game was released. Yeah, because at one point,
I voted on that one. I voted safe.
halfway through the game, he gets shot in the head, but he's wearing his helmet because they're encroaching. They're going near the survivors. The civilians, and one of them shoots him and it bounces off the helmet. He's like, "The hell, man! It's good job I was wearing my helmet or I'd be dead." And then obviously, as I say, spoiler alert, towards the end, when him and his helicopter, they turn up in their helicopter and start gunning down the Queen, and then the helicopter gets blown out of the sky, and you're like, "No, he survived to the end of the game. That's so devastating." And then the closing credits, it's him picking up his helmet and be like, "Well, I survived." And you're like, "Yes, Carmine, you crazy son of a bitch." That's awesome. I voted for him to live.
The other character that not so much the character, but the relationship of the character I connected to was back in Metal Gear Solid 2 when Emma Emmerich died.
Oh,
It's like a big thing that a lot of people got emotional in Final Fantasy 7 when that's not my favourite
No,
fantasy, so I
but-
forget
but-
characters, but
but people do get very connected
they
to
get
these.
connected. They say that I can't remember the girl's name. This is how small of a Final Fantasy fan I am. But Cloud is with. Is it
I've never been a Final Fantasy kind of.
But there's that scene where he's holding her in the water and she's dead, and apparently a lot of gamers cried over that. It was very emotional, and that's what I like.
Sergeant Johnson in Halo 3.
Yeah,
It was all the way through all 3 Halo games, and then people are like, no!
You build up an emotional connection
Yeah.
to a character.
And that's how you know that they've good
It's good storytelling.
good storytelling,
And that's
good
what's
game
missing
design,
in a
good
lot of
character
games
design. Yeah.
Nowadays is people just playing and think, whatever. It's like with going back to Call of Duty, Captain Price has been in nearly every one. Especially
Price and Soap.
I used to when I used to play the original Medal of Honor's Call of Duties when it was World War II.
Yeah, all of yeah.
Yeah, back in the day. I've forgotten his fucking name now. The guy who keeps living the handlebars.
Price.
Captain Price. I just fucking said it.
Captain Price, who sounds like Jason Statham.
Yeah,
He's Captain Price.
he was in all of those as well.
Yeah.
But apparently he just
That was all. I can't think of the games company that
Apparently
make
he's
it.
a time traveller.
What are they called?
It was Activision, wasn't it?
No. There's Activision, but then half are there's the Modern
Infinity
Warfares. Infinity Ward makes the Warfares. Treyarch. If you alternate them, there was Treyarch, Infinity Ward, Treyarch, Infinity Ward. Treyarch made mostly the shit ones, and Infinity Ward made the good ones up until Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 2, and then there's been a couple of shit ones.
That's my biggest problem with those games. It's the same game they release with a different lick of paint each time, and people either admit to this and don't play it, or people admit to it and don't, and carry on playing it, or people don't admit to it because they're too blind to see. If you admit to it and keep on playing, fair enough. But if you turn around and say it's not the same game, it is. It's the same game.
Same game for like 15 fucking years.
Yeah, you keep buying the same game, and all they've done is basically, by the way,
That
there's a crossbow you can play with now.
I mean, I think I said that. I said this on the last podcast about people complain about stuff like that with when people moan that these like the Xbox or the PlayStation with the new consoles out and they're releasing games, but it's still the same IPs, and people are pissing and moaning about they're not coming up with anything original. It's the same IPs. Nintendo have survived off the same 5 IPs for the past 30 years.
That's another thing that annoys me with Nintendo is they keep churning out the same crap. Perhaps we'll bring out a new Zelda game. Perhaps there'll be a water temple. Perhaps the princess will need saving. Perhaps the main
Maybe she's in another castle now. Oh no,
the
that's
main character will be the same guy across so many different universes, but not.
exactly.
But not at the same time.
But then
Where
you'll
are
get
you coming from,
you'll get people that
Nintendo?
complain. You get Splatoon. You get people that complain about stuff like that, but then they buy FIFA every fucking year.
Yeah.
You buy Call of Duty every year. You buy. It's just like that's the whole idea of it. It's essentially exactly the same game.
My motto is what I call a dumb genius. Because he keeps winning people over with. But it's the same with Mario. I'm sick of Mario. When I was a
Yeah, I
kid
mean they've
on a
tried to
Game
do
Boy,
some.
like Mario. Okay, it's an interesting platform style on across a 2D side scrolling. But now it's the same shit.
Paper Mario.
I'd like to say that games genres of games have a place and should always keep being made. But why is it the same shitty one keeps being made for the same shitty title?
Yeah.
I miss what I'd like to bring back as well as immersion-based games, where regardless of whether it's a first person or a third person or whatever, is you do connect.
Yeah.
Is point-and-click games from the 90s. Remember
Grim Fandango.
those? Grim Fandango
Grim
being the
Fandango.
main one. I want to make a remake of Grim
Apparently,
There is a remake.
They're not making a remake, they're making an HD
re-release.
re-release.
Well, it's how you
they're
say
not like-
how you use the word remake.
Sorry, I meant
Well,
to say sequel.
Yeah.
Reboot is
Which is quite interesting that they finally got around to it because I mean it's something it's Kenny's favourite game of all time. And
It's a brilliant game.
He's been devastated forever. It was a damn good game. And he's been devastated forever because when who was it that made it? Basically
LucasArts.
because it was owned, like so many games companies were involved in the creating of that game that no one person owns the rights. So and then
Is it up in the air at the moment?
and then it apparently it's been up in the air for the last like 15 years. Just like nobody's had the rights / like either everyone had a bit of the rights, which then turned into nobody had any of the rights. They were like, well, we don't know where the rights are anymore, so we can't make another one. We just lost it. It's gone. There'll never be another one because we don't know where the rights went. We put them in a drawer and now they're gone. But apparently they are at least making a HD remastering.
They would have to have the rights sorted out to be able to do that.
Exactly. So somebody's found whatever drawer they were in.
This is what we're missing: is decent point-and-click adventure games, and LucasArts used to make the best ones.
They did damn good job, yeah.
You had Sam and
Damn you,
Max,
Disney.
Day of the Tentacle, Escape from Monkey Island.
Oh, Monkey Island! Just
any of those. There was complete genius, and we're just missing out on so many. I know there are still indie game companies making them,
but it's still not.
But they're not reaching to that level of. It's more. They're going for the more basic route of how to solve puzzles, and the idea with those games was when you figured out a puzzle, is you sit there going, "Well, how was I meant to know that?"
Yeah.
But it would be guys sitting there going, "Okay, well, if you combine the chewing gum with the rotating fan, and then combine that with the soap attached to the string, it's really obscure puzzle solving." But that's what I miss, rather than you've got a key. That's a locked door. Puzzle complete. Open the door with the key. I prefer something a lot more abstract.
Exactly, yeah. But as you say, they can be literally that simple. It's like, this door is locked. Find a key. You go in the other room. Oh, look, a key. You've unlocked the door. You're like...
But it's not just...
And where's the challenge?
That's the biggest thing as well. It's not just what I want as a game designer. You've got to remember, you've got to do what... You've got to work with the player as well. You can't just make a game and say, well, I did it all because I wanted to. If you don't like it, then you're an idiot. That's my opinion. But...
That was like that guy.
What guy?
That made Fez.
Oh, Phil Fish, he's a twat.
Fez is the music. No.
Fez is that sort of the world.
It's like
platformer, but the world turns. You can turn it.
And you're walking along it as the little sort of.
Yeah, you run a path.
Yeah.
It's like Paper Mario.
So you turn the map, and then there's path because the map.
But he was like, I like it, so it's going to be like this. If you don't like it,
then don't buy my game. Fuck off. It's like, well, that's the attitude to have.
No, it's
and then
it's
he
really not as a game
pretty
designer.
much just thought he was like a god.
You've got to be open to criticism and change in your design.
Oh if you're a game designer, you can't decide that you're not going to make Fez 2 because some people gave you a bit of hate on Twitter.
No, you've got to go with what... I mean, you don't have to play up to the public completely either. If people keep screaming, we want this, you don't have to turn around and go, I don't want to, but they want it.
But I'm saying you need a bit more of a backbone. Even if you're doing what you want to do, you can't just give up because
absolutely not.
Like a bunch of people complained. Maybe it's because you have a personality flaw that people don't like you. Not
exactly. if game designers did give up because they got a little bit of abuse on Twitter, maybe we wouldn't get any more Call of Duty games. Because if you remember a couple of months back when we reported that the designers for whatever was Black Ops 2 got like nasty, vicious, brutal death threats against them and their families over Twitter because they changed like the reload or firing speed rate, something rather, of one sniper rifle in Call of Duty. So people were getting like...
It was both.
Basically,
they shaved 0.1 of a second off of the firing rate and added like 0.2 or 3 to the reload rate.
And people were sending them like, I hope you dirty fucking stupid Jews, I hope you die in a fucking... Hitler should have killed you in a shower.
Anyone used the word Jew.
No, they did. I saw them. These were genuinely...
I find it hard to believe that they could get anywhere near the designers for the army of preteen kids.
What's I mean? This is over Twitter. This is like
defending them.
I know that one's true because I had it mentioned on the Rooster Teeth podcast. I did. No, they mentioned it on Rooster Teeth podcast, but there's like they were reading them out, and some of them were fucking devastating. It's like obviously, I guess
that's when people care too much.
Well, yeah, I mean,
especially when I'd say 99% of them have probably never held that rifle and knows how it works.
Yeah, and also you're talking about 0.0 somethings of a second.
Ruin the game, man.
Yeah, throw off my game. It's not that I'm a bad player or I have anger issues. It's that you ruined my game. And not only that, it's my game as the player, not your game as the creator. It's my game.
Exactly.
Sometimes something will happen in a game that you don't agree with. It's your choice whether to ride it out and carry on playing it, or for you to completely blacklist it. But it's the same with it's become a big trend recently. It's pre-release buying games, or lots of beta testing.
Lots of beta, yeah.
Beta testing is a problem.
I remember what it's called on Steam now.
It's basically early access.
Early access, yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest problem with beta testing is giving out to players a key or access to it. Is first impressions. Is people will look at it and go, "I really like this. This is how the game's going to be."
And then they'll change it.
Is the fact that, no, this is a testing stage, it might not end up anything like this. This is how it works.
There's also the opposite of where people a lot of times in betas as well recently, like people don't realise that it's a beta and not a game demo.
Yeah, exactly.
So whereas I'll bring up Battlefield 3, that beta, there was a lot of bugs in that, and people were saying, I'm not buying this game because of that. And it's like, you realise that was the whole point of this, was to find these bugs and to find balance issues and stuff like that. And because of that, people were saying they weren't going to get it.
But the problem is because not enough beta testers give feedback. You have to realise if you're going to be a beta tester, don't just play it.
Yeah, that's
what your opinion.
That's where that issue is, that if you give beta to everybody, then that people, like most of the people you're getting there, just want to play it early. They just want to play it now. It's like they're not giving you feedback.
This is a beta. Is a prototype still.
No, but even so,
that's just a test.
I sent feedback on Hearthstone when I got into the beta for that.
If you're going to be a beta tester, you should always give feedback.
Yeah,
that's the
point.
The point of doing it is that you tell them how you.
I found this bug. I found that issue. I didn't agree with this.
Oh, I didn't like this server because.
No, but not so much like that. But like if you come across a bug, if you find something wrong, or you can either inform them of like, oh, I found this, or when I was doing this, or anytime I try and do this, this thing happens, or that thing goes wrong.
Yeah, Liz has a point that a lot of betas, excluding stuff like the Hardline beta, because Battlefield Hardline, because that came out a few weeks ago, straight away after they wanted to announce the game, but it was leaked.
That's full of bugs, isn't it?
Well, Well, apparently they've come out and said, and they've had this big list and said, this is what we're planning to do with the game. This is what we're changing. So, like balancing issues and bug squashing stuff like that. I haven't actually read it, but like that's obviously what it's about. But there's stuff like Battlefield 4. Their beta came out like a few weeks before, and that's literally just stress testing the servers.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are coming out now as that for like multiplayer games are just server testing. And then that's also not a good. I think that's also not a good term for calling it a beta. Isn't the right thing, because it's a server beta.
Yeah,
but you're also giving people the wrong impression of what a beta is when they play other games.
Yeah.
Like,
the biggest problem with beta is it's free, okay, and people play it, and when people say, "What the hell have you done?" I demand that you change this. When they start making demands, they have to realise, and they don't because they're entitled, is that you're playing this for free. I don't owe you anything.
Yeah, I let you into my game.
I let you into my game. I owe you fuck all. You want to play it? If you bought it off me and it was bad, I might owe you something if it was promised to be something else. We're not going to mention Peter Molyneux. He does that a lot.
Oh, Molyneux. But it's like, I let you play this early.
Yeah.
Keep your bitching to yourself or stop playing my game.
Give me constructive feedback or don't play it. I don't owe you anything for letting you play the game for free.
I also have an issue with what you just said, that if I say it's something else, like you said the word promise, which is a bit different, but there's some people that are like, I'm going to sue Ubisoft because Watch Dogs didn't have as good graphics as it showed at E3. And any trailer that ever comes out for any game isn't a representation of what that game is 100% going to be. They even put that on the videos.
Like.
It's always
actual gameplay.
Yeah, not in-game footage.
No, but like that did have it, because at the time the game barely existed. So they were like, and they hadn't ever seen an Xbox One or a PS4. So they were like, this is what we assume we're going to be able to do with it.
This is what we're hoping,
but
we aspire to do.
They couldn't.
Yeah.
So you can't just say that you see a trailer. Yeah, there was a lot of issues, but they've squashed those now, I believe, though. But yeah, there was a lot of the graphics weren't great on PC, especially as most people think they'd be better, and also there was a lot of frame rate issues as well on the PC.
This is another draws to a point of another drawback of for computer game designers, is that you might come up with a great idea, have all these ideas, but you have to see whether that's possible. There might be limitations, graphical limitations. You might want to have everything done, obviously a stupid design, want everything done in FMV style, where everything looks amazingly lifelike.
Yeah,
but it would require a computer the size of the old ones when they used to take up a large room.
But that's the thing. A lot of E3 demos and stuff like that are representations of what the game designer wants. And then when they're working further into the game, they realise, oh, we can't have this, have to take this out, take that out.
Sometimes you have to realise there's limitations.
Limitations are a thing, yeah.
Yeah, and the problem with Peter Molyneux is that he was the game designer.
He's high all the time.
Yeah, he was I think basically what his idea is if I say it, they have to put it in.
It must
the
be
game.
true.
It will come true. Don't get me wrong. I've got a lot of respect for the man.
Oh, he's a genius.
But he is a bit doolally.
But he's a little bit too lally. Yeah.
He just needs to bite his tongue. But I think at this stage, he's gone past the point of realizing that he's a meme. So he's just carrying on with it because he's like, well, I don't have to live up to what I say anymore.
Yeah. Exactly. Luckily, at this point, he can come out with all kinds of nonsense because people accept. Oh, it's just Molyneux.
He's like
the Peter
grandpa in the corner that wets himself.
Exactly.
Oh, Molyneux.
Oh, Molyneux. Oh, you silly old thing.
Anyway,
that.
Same accepted thing that Gabriel was afraid of number 3.
Exactly.
So to wrap things up with you, Joshua. I don't know if that is your name, Joshua.
It is my full name. Yeah.
Okay. So
Josh, short for Ted.
Well, I don't know. A lot of parents do just put just like the shortened version of their name,
Josh Wiener,
and they just put the shortened down. I know quite a few people.
The full name on my
Joshua.
But
Yes.
Josh is just one syllable and so much easier.
Yes, that's also one syllable and easier. You could be called Yes.
Quite.
Carlstoffer.
Yeah, so is there anything else you want to say about your course or what you would like to do in the future? Is there any fantastical idea of a game that you would like to develop? Is there a dream game?
There's one I've had.
You said that Valve is pretty much the dream job. Is there a dream game out of Valve maybe as well? Say what you were going to say.
Elder Scrolls 8.
Left 4 Dead 2, 3, 4.
Left 4 Dead 3.
Fuck 3, 4.
No one gives a shit about Half-Life 3. I want Left 4 Dead 3.
Left 4 Dead 3. Do Left 4 Dead 3 in.
Left 4 Dead 3 only
I
good zombie
prefer the
game.
idea of Left 4 Dead 4. And Half-Life 4.
I
and
can
Portal
give you
4.
a game. I can tell you about a game that is already out in early access that is pretty much being hailed as Left 4 Dead 3, and that's called Contagion. And I've got that, and that's worth playing at some point.
It's not Left 4 Dead 3.
It's not, but it's still good.
That's what I want.
There's also Hunter.
Hunter, yeah.
I think it's Hunter. Not. I was thinking of whether it's Hunted or Hunted's that other game. Hunter.
I've been early access testing a lot of survival games recently. I mean, The Forest is quite a good one. Again, it's still very early access, that one, but that's
these Daisy Vania games.
Yeah, sort of style of it. Yeah, but this one's not so much about the zombies.
Yeah,
it's more about tribes people that.
Moss Games, as some guy on Giant Bomb podcast emailer decided, they're trying to come up with. There's no name for this. It's just like Daisy rip-off games.
Yeah,
whether they have zombies or not, but it's just like
it's basically survival simulators.
Massively multiplayer.
Yeah, well, similar to what Minecraft is technically, but on a.
That's what I've tried to explain.
Scale.
This is what I've tried to explain about Walking Dead to people, which is not a show I like. I think it's dreadful. But I've tried disputing with people that are convinced that, the whole point of the show is zombies. It's not.
It's not about the character development.
Zombies are also there, but it's basically about people. It's about how society copes in disaster. Zombies are just also there. It's a show about people arguing in the woods with zombies nearby.
The zombies are the catalyst for why their situation is happening. I haven't actually watched the TV series.
Much like
I love it as your description, but without the zombies. It's just people arguing in the woods.
Yeah, it is. It's just people arguing in the woods. Sometimes zombies appear, and
that's a pivotal point.
It's about society. Oh, are there?
The point.
I thought you said that's how Hannibal is.
The point that you realise where the characters are standing there having a very mundane conversation, and there are zombies in the background, is a progression from the start of how they've become desensitized to zombies. Yeah. It's just well, we know they exist. They know they're about. It's just a thing.
We're prepared. You have. But yeah. So it's not really like the point of the show. Isn't the zombies? The zombies are just an aspect of the show, and it's mainly about society. Like that was the other show Sarah watched, Revolution, where basically inexplicably for no reason all power disappears. So it's based in America, so obviously everyone goes back to riding horses and cowboy hats.
It's basically the apocalypse and the fact that people think the Middle Ages will return.
And it's just how society would survive were something bad to happen.
I personally don't think we would, because people are too attached to their technology.
Well, this is what might make
people just killed herself.
Your natural instinct would kick in to a degree, but you'd still hold on to it. Because we know it, we won't forget it.
Yeah. Well, in that show, for example, in America, they all go back to cowboy-ish. but that's in America.
No,
Would we then?
they don't.
Well, they've all got like.
There's
Everyone's
some
obviously,
people
like,
occasionally on a horse.
I've only seen bits of it, but
The
everyone
idea
seems to
with
be.
the cowboy thing was because it was a wild, literally the wild frontier where the lawlessness was pretty easy to get by on because each.
Imagine if we all just decided to become cowboys.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be a much better TV show.
Should we do that now?
That's one-
Everyone just at one time
That's one
was
better
so
than me.
fuck technology. We want to be cowboys.
This is beating me. I'd be like, yeah, let's start a motorcycle gang, or we could be cowboys.
What about cowboys in space?
Yeah. They don't. There's like some
This
people
is- I've
on
literally
horses.
seen bits of it, but
There's literally just it. Like
Just in bits with people.
yeah, and he thinks that
Pretty
they're
much
cowboys.
Any
They're
time
not.
Come to the assumption.
both Sarah and my dad watch that show. Anytime I walk in or I'm in the room while that show is on, somebody's riding a horse.
No.
So I just assumed they're like, well, I guess we'll be Western again, which made me think, I guess in
What-
England,
How else are you going to get around without power?
you got legs. In
What,
in
long
England,
distance?
yeah. So in England we go all like knights and shields and shit.
Well, I think because we know
we
about
didn't have
cowboys,
Westerns.
we'd probably go back to that as well.
Yeah, we'd probably go and get horses.
It's not like it's not like
not a
they're
thing,
going back
though.
to they're going back to their short-lived heritage. We'll go back to our long-term one.
I'm not very good at history. What were we doing while cowboys were a thing?
Being Victorians.
Yeah. So we'll all have children
Let's
in
just take it a
chimneys.
step further. Let's start running around naked and painting ourselves blue.
To be fair, people would probably do
do
that
that.
because
People
they
do
go
that.
insane.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the Scottishest thing. Naked blue people.
Anglo-Saxons did it kind of as well.
I just
the
imagined you
Celts.
meant people thought they were navvies.
People just ran around shouting, "Hey, listen!
Oh, not that
Not that
navvy.
kind of thing.
Hey,
That would be
listen!"
a lot more annoying. It'd be a lot funny.
Hey, listen.
No, I meant
He means Navis.
Navi. Sorry, yeah, not Navi. Navi. You know the Smurf ripoffs from that shit
that
film.
silly little
Oh,
film.
what's
I
it
still
called?
think that
Can't remember
people
what it's
would
called.
run around shouting.
Fern
"Hey,
Gully.
listen."
No, Pocahontas. No.
Pocahontas, no.
Avatar. That's one.
It's the same fucking story.
That's Navi, not Navi.
No, he corrected me. He corrected me on that. He corrected me.
Navi is delightful little hey listen friend.
Yes.
To answer your question,
That was my ringtone for ages, and Cole sent me about 20 texts in one row, and it just went, "Hey, listen! Hey, listen! Hey, listen! Hey, listen!"
Fuck you.
Would you want to create a post-apocalyptic Western game where there's a faction in the game that just paint themselves blue?
would they wear cowboy hats? Wait, that's my decision. Yes, they would.
That's up to you.
That's up to me. I wouldn't mind doing
It'd be like Fallout New Vegas, but with blue people.
a survival game. I did love the Fallout series, even the old top-down style
Yeah.
RPG. I know. I love it.
What, the Nuka-Cola bottle
Yeah,
that she bought me, yeah.
it's genius. But I've had a game design for a game
Best
in my
present
head
ever.
for since I started the course, even a little bit longer. And I don't want to talk about it too much, just because I always have that fear that
Copyright.
if I get to that point where I could create a game and someone's already brought it out, I've got a few game design ideas like that.
You don't want to unveil
Yeah,
too
yeah.
much.
Well, it's not that like I'm working on it now, but it's just that idea that I get to that point, like, right, I'm going to create it, and someone goes, "Oh, look, someone's just created a game exactly the similar way that you dreamt of creating it all those years ago, and he only came up with it 5 minutes ago," and you think, no.
Yeah, but if
Like,
you say it now, then you can be like, well, I had the idea.
Well, what I'd like
And
to
here's
do,
the proof.
what I'd
Robot
like
Punch
to do
Gaming episode 45.
is there's it's a first-person survival horror game, which sounds, again, as the trend is going at the moment with things like Slender or all those games, seems to be the trend.
Here's the thing, yeah.
But I mean more to the sense of you're not unarmed. I mean, don't get me wrong, Outlast as a first-person survival horror game was genius, and it had me shitting myself all the way through it. Seriously.
See, I've heard that everyone's been like, "Oh, it's just samey. It's just the same as everything else."
Oh, it's pretty good. And especially when you play it with surround sound in the dark, late at night. And
Carl, set that up for this.
I'm too scared to. What?
He should set that up for you.
I really want to play it, but I'm going to be too scared.
well, if you can link your Steam account to mine, you can play it, because I've got it.
I'm getting to it.
But
I said it would probably come out as Games Together at some point.
what seems to be the trend with war games, especially, is it's either has to be modern day or World War II. And I think it was Yahtzee who pointed this out.
Oh,
And
Yahtzee.
do love Yahtzee.
I do love Yahtzee.
He pointed out that if you put all the World War II games together, the playthrough would last longer than World
The
War
War
II
II,
itself. In fact, D-Day Landing would take probably about 3 months. But I'd like to
Sad but true.
for the survival horror aspect, I'd like to focus on World War One, because let's face it, that was far more horrific with dealing with.
Well, there's already a game about World War One now. It's that weird cartoon
Valiant Hearts.
Valiant
so
Hearts.
sad.
That looks good. I
That
saw
looks
that.
That's out now as well.
It is.
Yeah,
But
that
this-
is depressing.
Yeah. I'm
This
not
would
playing
focus
that.
more around the state of how the horror of the trenches affected the troops, because when men came back with post-traumatic stress disorder, same as World War II, is people thought they were being stupid. So that pull yourself together, stop being an idiot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they
'cause it
didn't
wasn't a
care
thing.
about mental things.
No.
back
Well, it
then.
wasn't a thing then, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
But not only that, survival horror has gone downhill since some of the early Resident Evil games, in the sense that in Resident Evil, they gave you a gun with a limited amount of ammo, and if you found ammo, that was like the best day ever. It was sort of like, I have bullets, I can do
But
damage.
it's still like that. It's still so irritating.
Yeah, but we were doing the Leon
military
ones wasn't
one.
as bad, was
No.
it?
Is this Resident Evil 6?
Yeah,
So I still haven't
we
played it.
we were doing Chris's side, because there's
You play as
4 or 5 different campaigns,
There's a lot of the
and
protagonists from the old games.
Chris's one is very military style. You're shooting at other people, but they still have the old style, very low amount of ammo. That doesn't really work so well when
No.
you're fighting other people with guns, who also not only don't die straight away once they get shot, they transform into monsters.
Yeah,
Like we switched and did to Leon's one, and it was a lot more fun. It's
Yeah.
more classic zombies. kind of thing.
from reviews I've heard that Leon's is more sort of, if you want to play Resident Evil, more not as good as it used to be, but in the because it used to have sort of still backgrounds.
Yeah,
And you fix camera angles. I like that a lot more than the over the shoulder look. But think of limited amount of ammo in the trenches where you don't know who's firing at you from what angle, and not only that, you've got bolt action weaponry.
yeah.
And it would be real.
Have you ever played Spec Ops: The Line?
Yes, I have. That's a genius game in the way that it depicts how war affects.
Yeah,
It's
I
just a
thought.
good game all round, isn't it?
I
Beautiful
think
game.
you could take quite a lot of aspects from that in the mental health of stuff. And
As you finished
Well,
that
that's that scene about that scene with the whole phosphorus and
Yeah,
seeing
yeah.
the families. That was one of those things where you think, oh yeah, when I've been playing war games, I haven't really cared about civilians dying or people, whatever. That's a powerful moment.
Yeah.
That whole game was just genius.
But
I have
again,
no idea what it is.
Play it because it's
I
stunning.
showed you it in the shop, but I don't know, if you would want to play it.
I wrote my best review on it because it was just that good of a game that I had tons to say about it.
it was a genius
I
game.
showed
10
when
out
we
of
were in
10.
game. I said this is like one of the best.
It's
storylines
not just
I've
the
ever
idea
played,
of,
but
we're the
I
good
don't remember
guys.
that.
it
therefore
wasn't a
everything we do
cult
is
game, so I put it
justified.
back
It's-
straight away.
We're the
I
good
don't
guys.
remember
Plumbing.
You're
But
probably
we
looking
also
at
have
something else.
to
You're probably
do
looking
some
at Epic
pretty
Naked.
horrific things.
I'm really gutted. I've almost 100%ed it achievement wise. I've got one achievement left, and that's to beat it on the hardest difficulty. And your friends are such fucktards
Yeah.
that it's impossible.
But yeah, imagine the whole idea of, say you've got troops that could run over the trench, because it would have a real-time system working in it where you have day and night cycles. And the whole idea with the horror aspect is, I had it, again, I don't want to say too much on it, but you don't know whether the trench itself, it's going to sound very sort of M. Night Shyamalan, is
Midnight.
some malevolent presence, or you're being affected by the effects of fear, tear gas, and just adrenaline.
Just all of it. Yeah.
So you say, for example, you could be walking down a thin trench that you know like the back of your hand. You've got the map drawn out in your notebook. You're walking down. Next day, you walk down it. It's not there. The entrance is not there. It's not been bombed and it's been caved in. It's just dead end.
and you're like,
It's moved. It's like a maze. Other aspects were that if you do fight upon enemies, one shot could kill you if they shoot you in the head. I know it sounds like one of those sort of things, I'm going to quit because it's too hard, but it's more of a case of you will have difficulty levels, but they're more likely probably to shoot you limb shot first if you're playing on an easy difficulty, which you will then have to, like Far Cry 2, if you get shot, you then have to see yourself moving the bullet.
Patch up,
That's what I find
that
is
is also in free as well,
yeah,
since
I
you haven't
find
played
that
it.
immersive in a game. I find it immersive when I look down in a first-person game and I see my own feet.
Oh, I hate when you don't see your
When I
feet.
don't see my own feet, I think, oh, it's going to be that type of game, is it? Because they couldn't be bothered to render the whole model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take that much longer. But yeah, so if you shoot someone in the chest, near the heart or vital organs, they're probably going to go down and bleed out pretty quickly. If you shoot them in the head, that's it, they're gone. If you shoot them in the arm, their gun arm at least, they're not going to be able to use it to an effect. So I want to try and capture, as not that anyone would really want to visit that, but in gaming, in the internet and gaming life, everyone wants to visit every possible scenario. Is the horror of World War One.
Yeah, you can also use a lot of you could have quite a few scenes with bayonets and stuff as well.
Yeah. Exactly, but the idea that I had, again, it works for some games, it doesn't for
there's
other.
the fear that, because, was it the Germans? Yeah, the Germans had machine guns and you didn't.
Yeah.
That was the massive thing in World War One.
That monster.
The English, both teams had machine guns, but the Germans had far more, and also it was back at the stage where machine guns were mounted weapons.
Yeah.
You couldn't just walk around with a handheld one. It was something...
So there's the fear that, like, that you're going to walk in front of this massive machine gun that could just kill you within, like, a second.
It's a game that I want you to... You know how people talk about Dark Souls, like, oh, I'm scared of that game. And yeah, let's face it, it's a hard game. It's a very fucking hard game. It gives you no help.
Hard game. Yeah.
It's a good game, but it gives you no help whatsoever.
Yeah. What would be a sweet ending is if you had to go up, like, whether you're saying you spend most of the game in one trench or many, like, you end the game with just going over the wall and then just, like, getting shut down.
Oh, what, Blackadder 4 ending?
Yeah, just something like that. Or like...
That's a touching scene.
Isn't it?
Oh, man. Yeah.
That's the genius of that comedy, is they mixed
And that's how they ended it.
with touching.
No, it's so sad.
I know.
That was the end.
So depressing.
Bonus level in your game, football at Christmas.
The idea that I had was, and it's quite a common thing with recent horror things, is you're not a super soldier, blah, 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 blah. The idea I had was you are a pilot observer, or no, you're
a normal person.
You're an RFC observer, okay? That means the RFC was just before the RAF, before they changed it to the RAF. You're an observer. You fly over in a biplane, you've got you and your pilot. Your job is to take photos of the trench above for recon. Your plane is shot down in and you land in behind friendly lines, but within the trench. You are then recovered. You're someone that's been trained to fire a handgun maybe once in your life as a desperate last chance, but you are not equipped to fight so much, which is where the slight RPG element comes into it. Not so much that it makes it bad, but I had the idea where you have handguns, rifles, explosives, leadership skills, things like that. If you're shit with a handgun, which you start out shit pretty much with everything handgun a little bit better, when you aim down it, you hold it with one hand, you shake, vision sort of blurs, the depth blur. You can shoot.
Because
you can give a good guess of where you're going to shoot, and the enemies at the start won't be too taxing on you, but it will be difficult. As you get better, you hold it with two hands, you know how to squint, you open your eye, or close one eye, open the other eye.
Well, I hope you open your eyes.
You know what I mean? You get better. It's the same with how DSX managed it, is you would shake with sniper rifle. Deus-Ex, yeah.
What, as you're saying about, like, the horror aspect, that does sound like what you could do, what unfortunately most of these games that are like horror games don't do, and it's my same issue with lots of horror films nowadays. I've seen black and white films that are far scarier than any paranormal activity, is that nowadays what surpasses for horror is
jump scares.
And showing the monster. There's no tension build up.
Yeah, it's just time after time. It's any horror movie I've watched in the past couple of days. I don't usually watch horror movies because horror movies are all shit. Because if they're all boom.
Yeah, that's like I watched Oculus.
It's like, no, fuck off.
I watched Oculus the other day, and they just show the like mirror woman thing straight away, and it's just like, okay, well, this is not scary now.
Exactly.
Like, she's got a freaky face, and you're probably going to see that when you're trying to sleep.
But you know what she looks like.
You know what she looks like.
Half the fear is not knowing what it is.
Yeah.
Like the original. My dad will tell you is something he's told me, and it's true. The original version, the black and white version of I think it's House on Haunted Hill, or is it House on Haunted Hill? Yeah, I think that's the one I'm thinking of. The remake had Liam Neeson and Sean William Scott in it. If I'm thinking of the correct,
gotta love Liam Neeson.
I know. I think it's that. It's black and white anyway. Yeah.
Something else.
I'm thinking. Can I take a break in a minute? I need to use the loo, and I'll come back.
If I'm thinking he's about to end.
Yeah, if you want, we're just going to end.
If I'm thinking, if it is, I'm pretty sure it's House on Haunted Hill or something of that equivalent. It's parts in that. It's black and white. It's an old film. And my dad said he's never watched a scarier, more fear-filled film. Where you've got things like, for example, in the modern version, there's the girl and she's in the room, and the bed starts coming alive and trying to eat her, and like shit's exploding all over the place, and it's tying her up and sticking spikes in her, and all this kind of terrible stuff happened to the girl. But to start with, there's lots of noises outside. The old version, don't see any eccentric over the top.
No.
Anything like that. There's noises. There's footsteps. There's scrapings. There's creepings. There's rattling doors. There's shaking windows.
The longer you don't
there's the
see
door
it,
handle.
the more
there's
scared you'll get.
Yeah, and it leads to nothing, which is possibly one of the scariest.
Because you're sitting there on the edge of your seat, waiting to jump at something that's.
But
not gonna make you
there is no violin build up. There's none of that. It's just the music gradually getting more and more intense. Just the sound effects are getting more and more intense.
But
things
also,
are getting harder, louder, scarier.
The other thing is
they're more subtle.
Horror,
There's no subtlety in horror.
The stuff has changed, and people expect more from horror now because, like now, if you watch something in black and white, you're just a bit bored.
I dispute that. Strangers on the Train is a phenomenal movie.
I'd say the majority of people would.
No, the majority of people, that's because they have short attention spans and are stupid.
But they're like now you want to know. I don't know. It's just different. Like I was watching a zombie documentary last night, and they said that now if you watch the black and white Night of the Living Dead, you're just like, oh, those zombies are crap. Now they're saying like the whole fast zombie, slow zombie dispute. Slow zombies are boring now because you just think, well, you can just shoot it when they're like a foot away.
You can outrun it.
Yeah. But a fast zombie, it's shit. It's in your face. So people want more. But people want more scare.
That's always been the argument with fast versus slow, because I much prefer slow zombies, and it's not about how fast they can get you. It's they're growing. It's the number.
Yeah.
As soon as they get you, that person
they multiply.
They multiply. You could have, you can
only run so far.
Yeah, and you can only have so much munition.
Because that's the other thing with the two different zombies specifically, is what they used to be like and what they're at now. Zombies, originally, if you go back to the old Night of the Living Dead, they're zombies dead coming back. They're the undead coming back to life.
They come out of the ground.
They come out of the ground. They're already dead people, but they're coming out of the ground, coming back to life in like an undeath and coming for you.
Yeah.
Now
whereas
it's
any modern
infection.
zombie, it's always infectious. It's always a sickness. It's always a disease.
Yeah.
It's some kind of.
I do prefer the idea of infection
virus.
or chemical, but my favourite zombie film is going to be George A. Romero's original Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah,
that's my favourite zombie film of all time. I don't care about the crappy effects. I love the crappy effects because they use real effects. It's not CGI. The actor has something to react to.
Yeah.
If they see a watermelon explode that's dressed up to look like a head, they're still reacting to that splatter.
That explode, yeah.
They're not reacting to nothing, which is difficult to act to.
The issue with magic versus virus or parasite, or parasite's probably the most likely of anything that would happen, is that people just don't believe in magic as much.
Yeah.
The whole thing of zombies is that it was voodoo.
Yeah.
Is that
well, initially
that's where
the word came from. Yeah.
So, like, people just don't believe in it anymore. It's just boring. So they've got to have something.
You've got to have the fear of that it could actually happen.
Yeah.
Well, the closest we've got is rabies. Rabies virus makes you angry.
No, the closest we have is what Left 4 Dead, not Left 4 Dead, Last of Us copied, which is the
wasn't that rabies?
That's a parasite.
Parasite, yeah.
Which actually exists.
The Will Smith film, I imagine, wasn't that it started as a rabies thing, and it started in animals, and then they spread. Yeah,
it was in rats, and then it spread.
And then it spread out. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the symptoms the closest to not being dead are that you're, aggressive. You carry it. You sort of degrade to more. I wouldn't say
animalistic.
You degrade to animalistic, and obviously.
Well, that's like
the symptoms
28 Days Later. It's in rabies type thing in monkeys, and then.
The symptoms of rabies are the most similar, but the
it's a
parasitic
virus.
Things that are in ants are they turn them into actually more like zombies. But
there is that one bug. I think is it an ant or something? It's a bug, and it will kill an animal. Then it will like climb inside it and fucking drive it.
It's a parasite.
That's the parasite, and
it controls it. Yeah,
it just fucking takes over. It's like
the body.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Beautiful creatures.
One day they're going to get us.
Then they infect the ants, and then they control the ants, and then they eventually make the ant go up onto the top of a leaf or something and wait for a bird to eat it. The bird eats the ant and then poops out the parasite, and the parasite gets eaten by another ant. Yeah.
Incredible.
Lovely.
Love the world. Love the world.
Yeah.
But the idea with the survival horror in this game was that the player would have to. It's not going to be any. There's nothing said whether there is paranormal or whether you're just going insane. It's
Whether
up to
you're
you.
losing your marbles,
You have
yeah.
in your inventory your notebook, which you can either pick together. As you go through objectives, you will have to comment on them, on what you personally think happened. And you'll get a pre-existing amount of things to say about it.
Yeah.
And basically, whether you're chalking it up to, I'm probably scared, or mustard gas attack and my mask might not have, I might have been seeing something, or whether...
Or you starting to believe it.
Yeah, the fuck is going on here? So I don't want to make the whole morality style in what most games do. I know a lot of people say they don't want to and then they go and do it anyway, in which there's good and evil. There's no middle or slightly wavering ground. I'd like to try and make as many options as possible what does the player think is happening.
You don't start off neutral and then gradually go in one or other direction. You want to be able to sort of basically stay almost middle ground, but wavering between the two.
Or even from the start, as you will say, what do you think? As you're being interviewed into the RFC, how sort of person do you see yourself? Are you more likely to believe something you see like that, or chalk it up to something?
So what you could do is you could do 2 games, say you want to play it twice.
Yeah.
You could do it one way of just really believing it's paranormal and seeing what happens that way, and then another way is believing, I'm just crazy, and seeing what happens that way. Or you could just waver between and see what happens when you're neutral.
And the game will change depending on your depiction on it.
One of my favourite morality systems is where Mass Effect, where it doesn't have... it's not one. Well, I think Mass Effect 2, I think it does it. In 3, I think it's one. It's just one bar, but it has 2 separate bars of your different moralities.
Oh, yeah.
So you can build up your good one, but at the same time, you can also be building up the bad one. So
it's sort of like what Fable 2 did. They had good and evil, and then
and
corrupt
then you just
or pure.
went all like, well, you got your horns and stuff.
Yeah, because I had a good character that was corrupt.
Yeah.
So it's like he does what's right, but he's also.
But then he goes and like sleeps with all these women and gets loads of STDs and stuff.
That's what morality is. Not one single bar in life. Yeah. You might do something for the good of something, but it will have bad ramifications. You can't do something and therefore everything works out. There's no one line.
But if you're going crazy, then you might start to think, well, is this actually? You might start to like. Say, well, is this actually paranormal though? Because you're going crazy, so you might start to believe it's paranormal.
Well, exactly. But you can work around that with morality. I mean, the idea is that I had was just it won't be anything said in particular. Obviously, on a game design document, you will tell people that obviously these things exist in there, but that's only if you go down a certain path or whatever.
So there's a lot of open options.
A lot of open options. How scared are you of being there? Is it because there are real people over the top? Or are you scared of something a bit closer to you that no one else seems to notice or might notice and you think you're not the only one that can notice it?
Yeah.
Did that barbed wire fall down naturally or did it sort of slink like a snake round the corner?
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think happened? Tell me.
Just kind of...
Exactly. Write it down. Write it down in the book and see what happens as you go along. And with that, and the other thing that I was really wanted to do is, in order to build up relationships with characters, is you would have maybe 1 or 2 set characters throughout the game. And this sounds really quite out there and far-fetched to accomplish, but you would have randomly generated soldiers in that area of the trench at certain time, every playthrough. And with your leadership skill, you could get them to come with you. Say you need to complete an objective, and this is going back to very Half-Life opposing force. Yeah. This door is barred. I need an engineer. Get the guy, or this is blocked. Get someone who's good with explosives, or the guy who has explosives. He might not be any good, but he's got them. Get along with them. But depending on your, not friendship, well, maybe your friendship with that personal guy and your leadership, can you get them to go with you? Because you might be in a section of trench for a certain amount of time. Yeah. You would build up relationships. But again, I probably said far too much than more than I wanted to. But
that's okay. Carl's just going to cut you about the podcast anyway.
The person that will steal it is Jojo, so it's fine.
Fucking Jojo.
Does he steal things?
Jake wants to do game design, but he doesn't want to do game design. He wants to do like the artwork stuff. Yeah. So anyway, that is it for episode 45 of the Road Punch Gaming Podcast. I am Carl.
Let's call this episode Josh.
Okay. I am Carl Lipscomb. Today I was joined by Josh and Josh and Josh. Woohoo! Dom Giles.
Hello, I'm Dom Giles.
Liz Bond.
Hello.
Why does everyone say hello at the end? This happened like last week, I think, as well.
I'm sorry.
Josh Crunden.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you can follow the Twitter. That's at RBT Punch. And
hello, Dom Giles.
And you can find our YouTube. Just search Robot Punch Gaming on YouTube. And our website is robotpunchgaming.com. So thank you for listening. It takes a strong man to deny what's right in front of him. It takes a strong man to not. Ah, you shit duck.
All the way through.